Hi. That introduction where I come, that will make sense soon. So who am I? What am I? Welcome to this channel. What is this channel? Ross Vlogs, also known as Small Steps, Big Gains. But I have retitled this channel because I want to make it a little bit more inclusive of pretty much everything. You'll probably notice that there's a couple of travel vlogs from when my wife and I went to LA in February of 2024. We originally had that on my wife's channel, which is called Stitch by Liz, but we decided to actually move it over to this channel because we wanted to focus that channel on just cross-stitching, and this one's kind of like a vlog. It's a little bit of a mix of everything. Why am I using this? Because I purchased it. I need to justify it. That's why. It's hot, it's sweaty. I'm gonna push on. So the idea behind this channel is mental health, physical health, which is not what I've got, and financial health. My mental health has been through the ringer lately, probably the last year and a bit, but really bad the last 2 months. My physical health has never been good, and my financial health is, it could always be better. So the whole idea with this is that I'm trying to improve myself any way that I can, little things. Number one of those things is working out. So you can see behind me, there is an exercise bike, which I'm probably gonna have to film some B-roll to show that. And on the floor down here, I've got some weights, some little dumbbells, I think they're called. The exercise bike has probably been used more in the last week than it has been for about 4 years. Yeah, that makes sense. The dumbbells, I just picked them up from my dad's house again and cleaned them. And now they're sitting on the floor. So that's pretty cool. Now, the whole idea with this little series that I've got here is that every single year, being a James Bond fan of the film series, I'm still reading the books. Every single year I do an annual rewatch of the film series. So what I decided to do this year is, because my mental health is no good, and they also always reckon that working out and your mental health kind of go hand in hand, I decided, you know what I'm going to do this year? I'm going to start rewatching the James Bond films, and I'm going to do it whilst working out on this exercise bike. Make sense? No? Probably not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the exercise bike, and I'm going to use the weights on the floor and any other things that I pick up along my journey, and I'm going to sit here and work out on this thing until I finish each movie. So what I actually did was, during this week, and I'm going to put some footage up, is I started watching the very first James Bond movie released in the Eon produced movies, which is Dr. No from 1962, starring Sir Sean Connery. Dr. No, Dr. No. What I did is I put my iPad up here, and I started watching the movie. As I watched the movie, I set a workout on my watch, and I had to work out the entire length of time and watch the movie. Can you believe it? Give me a moment. I'm hot. I'm going to take a drink of water. If you hear a slight hum in the background, forgive that. Not only do we have people working on construction around the back of the house, but I've also got a little fan up here that is the only thing in this room that is providing some sort of relief from this heat. So anyway, as I said, the aim of the game was to work out on the exercise bike, watch the James Bond movie Dr. No, record how many calories I burned, how long it took me, James Bond's kill count, the women he bedded, and the locations he visited. I wanted to do a little something extra. And then also provide a little bit of a review of the movie. And the reason I wanted to do all that is because I wanted to make this rewatch of the movie a little bit different. Number one, I've watched these movies last year in 2024 3 times fully, from beginning to end of the series. And there's 25 movies, so I watched them 3 times each, which was brilliant. Number two, as I said, my mental health and my physical health have just been through the ringer, especially the last 2 months. It has not been good. And I've been trying to just keep myself active. I've put on weight in the last 2 months, and it has not been good. So I wanted to just do something to keep my mind, my body active, and do something that I thought, well, you know what, this is going to be a bit fun for me. And I wanted to start uploading to this channel again. Like I said, my wife and I decided to take the travel vlogs off her channel and put them over to this one. And they've already gone up, a couple of them, and they'll continue to go up. And I just wanted to make this channel kind of like, well, not a companion to my wife's channel, but just to kind of make this one something where I could upload whatever I want to upload, whether it be a vlog, whether it just be something silly. But I wanted something to be fun. I don't want to make this channel overly serious where people come here and think, this isn't crap, isn't that? No, I want to make this channel something where people can come here and they can be like, oh, he's put another video up. Well done. I can watch that. And I'm not going to hold any punches too. I mean, if you look at me in this B-roll that I'm putting up, you'll see the way I'm working out, and I look absolutely like a whale just trying to get himself back into the water. And I don't care. I found it funny. I was sweating in places I never thought sweating. I remember when I finished working out at the very end of the movie, I broke the movie up into 3 parts. That's the only way I could do the workout. I think one of them was like 42 minutes. The next one was about 33 minutes. And then the time after that was another 33 minutes to complete the whole movie. And in between that, I was cleaning up around the house. I had my lunch, things like that. And it was just unbelievable because I refused to change my clothes. I'm like, no, I'm sticking to this. I am going to sweat. I'm going to stink. I smell like rubbish. I don't care. I need to get this done. And I set myself the aim that if I can finish this one here today in one day, I'm going to be happy. And it ended up being an hour, 49 minutes, and I believe it was 18 seconds. Either way, I'm going to have figures up on the screen. And I watched the entire movie and worked out at the same time. And the amount of calories that I burned watching Dr. No, watching that movie, was 913 calories. I worked it out that my lunch that day, which was just a very big salad, my lunch for that day was 500, maybe 50 calories total. I'll again put the figures up on the screen and actually what I ate. But I felt so good afterward. I really felt good. I was really enjoying the movie a lot more because I don't know what it was. It was something different. It was a different way of watching the movie this time. And I felt like, oh, this is great. And then the idea to record myself on the treadmill and put it up as a video was something that I decided the night before. And I spoke to my wife about it and she goes, go for it, do it. And I did. And the amount, like I said, I'm so unfit, but I was on that treadmill and I set myself that challenge and I completed that challenge and I felt great. And mentally, I felt really good afterward. And I thought, you know what, this is, I can do this. So as I said, I've got the dumbbells, I've got the exercise bike. I can even go for walks, but that's not the same. I want to be able to watch the movie or have the movie going whilst I'm in the room working out. And I had my big iPad up here, so I was doing that. The cat was coming in and out of the room, and it was good. And I had the fan going, which didn't help that much because when I finished at the very end, that last 33 minutes of the movie, I had sweat running down my spine into my butt, into me butt. But I don't mind. It was so good and it felt so good to work out. And then after that, having a cold shower was just wonderful. And I slept really well last night too. So again, it all works out the same. Now, today I'm not watching anything, obviously, because I'm recording this and I'm going to edit this and then upload this. But this week I'm going to be watching the second James Bond movie, which is From Russia with Love, 1963, again starring Sir Sean Connery. And that one there, I'm going to throw in a mix of the dumbbells and the exercise bike. And again, I'm going to record some of it. I didn't record all of me working out during Dr. No. I recorded maybe the first hour and 10 minutes. And you're seeing footage as I'm talking throughout. But I thought to myself, when I start with From Russia with Love, I'm going to do the same thing, record myself as I go. But I know it's going to be a different experience, and I know I'm doing it for the right reasons. I'm working out. I'm also watching my favorite film franchise. So how can that be how can that be a bad thing? It was really good. Now, give me a moment to have another drink of water because I am absolutely dying of sweat. It's hot. But I'm going to have another drink of water. Then I'm going to come back. And then I'm going to give a short review of the movie because why not? So now for my review of Dr. No. I love this movie. I absolutely love this movie. I know it's the first one in the film series, in the franchise. I know that everyone in it was... I mean, the movie was only made for $1 million back in 1962. You're not expecting it to be something astronomically big or anything like that, but the film is so good. It still holds up to this day. And Sir Sean Connery in it is absolutely amazing. That is some of the best casting on the silver screen ever made in anything.
Bond. James Bond.
I know people say, oh, he was the first James Bond, that's why he's one of the best. That could be true. But he's so good in the role. He's amazing as James Bond. And the music in it, which is not the greatest in the film series. I mean, Monty Norman did the musical score, but Monty Norman also did the James Bond theme, which everyone knows. Everyone knows that theme. And it is stuck around since 1962 all the way up to the last one, which was No Time to Die. It has stayed with the franchise since then. And as soon as you hear it, you know what that is. Even people that haven't seen a James Bond movie know that theme song is that franchise, which is just brilliant. And the movie, like I said, was just fantastic. It's so good to watch. It's a small-scale movie. He goes from London to Jamaica. There's only 2 locations in this entire film. I mean, I suppose you could count Crab Key, but that's just like an island. And it's part of Jamaica. So you don't count it. So there was only 2 locations he travelled to. There was 3 women he bedded. And he killed a total of... I believe it was 5. I'm going to go check my phone and make I did a kill count. So give me a moment. And this is important because I want to get these right. Yes, he killed Professor Dent, a Crab Key patrolman, a radiation suit worker, a radiation control worker on the gantry, and Dr. No himself. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, plus he killed a spider. But 5 people. He killed 5 people, travelled to 2 beautiful locations, bedded 3 women, and that's about it. The film is phenomenal. Watch it if you haven't. It is heavily inspired by the North by Northwest, the way the movie was filmed, the Alfred Hitchcock movie. But it is so phenomenal. It's just, and when you look at the movie and you look at the sets, oh, I don't know how to explain it. They're just so good. They're so good. Oh, look, watch the movie yourself. Get back to me. Let me know. But most important of all, because I'm going to be finishing up this now, is let me know in the comments how you're going. I just want to know how you're going, mental health-wise, physical-wise. How are you doing? And the second thing is, have you ever watched a James Bond movie? What do you think of the James Bond movies? They're not for everyone. My mum actually put me onto the James Bond movies when I was younger, so my mum loves the James Bond movies. And in the last 4 or 5 releases, I've watched 4 of them with my mum. The Daniel Craig movies, I've watched 4 of them with my mum. And I watched the very last Pierce Brosnan movie with my mum, which was Die Another Day. So me and my mum have watched 5 of the movies together at the cinemas. And it's something that me and my mum bond over. We love James Bond. So my mum put me onto the franchise. But I want to know if you've seen the movie, what do you think of the franchises? The franchise, what do you think of the movies? And how are you going mental health-wise? I just want to know how people are doing. Because it's not just about me, it's about you also watching at home. I just want to make sure that you're all going good. And that's about it. It's something simple. Like I said, it's very hot. I want to get out of this room. I want to start editing because I've got a feeling I'm going to have to re-record all of this again. But thank you again for subscribing. Thank you if you're following along. I promise I will be sticking with it this time, and I will be putting out videos much more often. But I really do appreciate you coming along, and if you've watched my previous videos, thank you. If you're watching this one, I really do appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves, and just know that there are people that care, because I know that that's something that people say, but no, truly there are people that care for you out there. So talk, and like I said, let me know in the comments below how you're going. Thanks very much, and I will catch you when I catch you next. I don't know whenever that's going to be, but it will be soon. Bye for now.
I brought this banana just to do this. This is the budget I'm working with. Don't laugh, Liz. Don't laugh.
I mean, you're probably sick of me already, aren't you? At this point now, this is just like, what's the point? But I promised you that I would upload more regularly, and I am. So this video here, and yes, I've got my headphones in, but that's because I'm outside. Okay, let's be honest. I'm outside. I'm at a park. I am currently, you know, like 36 minutes into my walk. I went for a walk today because it's overcast, which means it's not super hot. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be great if I just went for a walk? I'm going to take my GoPro with me, and I'm going to record something if I find an area where I can record. And it's going to be as socially awkward as anything, because this is really different from, you know, recording when you're at Disneyland, which selfless plug, but you can see those vlogs on this channel, so you know they're uploading. But no, I thought the reason I wanted to come to a park is because I'm outdoors, and I wanted to keep the exercise theme going for myself. And yes, I have watched From Russia with Love, and yes, I did exercise throughout the whole thing, whether it be from like on the treadmill, and then when I got off the treadmill I would pick up the dumbbells that I had and I would start doing some of that. So I was constantly working out, and if I put the dumbbells down, then I was doing crutches. Squats. Why did I say crutches? Squats. So I was doing like a multitude of things. I was on the exercise bike. That was like 95% of the time. 4% of the time I was like doing the dumbbells, and then 1% was just doing squats. But it was really good. Like, I had a really good time again, and it just feels different watching the James Bond movies again while you're working out, because it gives you like a motivation. So you're motivated to watch the film, but you're also motivated to work out. And then you start looking at the time and you're thinking, oh my god, I got 10 minutes to go, I got 10 minutes to go, my legs are jelly, but I'm going to keep on going. And that was what I was doing. So it was really good. And it was, yeah, so it was really good. I really enjoyed myself, and I had a really good time doing it. And and From Russia with Love again was a fantastic film, and it has beaten Dr. No for me as number one, because Dr. No was really good. Dr. No was a phenomenal movie. I love Dr. No, but if I'm ranking the movies, Dr. No would be number one. Now that I've watched From Russia with Love, Dr. No becomes number two, From Russia with Love becomes number one, and that's easy to say. I mean, by the time I get to Goldfinger, that list will change again, and then Thunderball, you know, what are the other movies? Oh my god, I can't believe I've completely blown my mind. I know the movies. You Only Live Twice, and then you've got On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and then you've got Diamonds Are Forever, and then that kind of concludes Sean Connery's era and George Lazenby. But I just love this movie. It is so good. It is so different to what Dr. No was. Dr. No was very centralised in one location, which was, I mean, you spent like 10 minutes of the movie was in London, and then the rest of the movie was in Jamaica. And that's fine. That was what the movie was. It was a small scale movie dealing with, you know, the villain Dr. No. Really good. You go to his island in Crab Key, which is still considered in part of Jamaica, and that's fine. No issues there. This movie here, and I've got a list on my phone here, this movie here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different locations. Now, you've got the usual, the movie begins in, these birds are crazy. I'm going to continue anyway, it doesn't matter. You start the movie in London, no issues there. Then you go to Istanbul, Then you go to Belgrade, which is in Serbia, I just found out. But you're only there for like, that's like a train sequence in the movie. You stop there for a little bit. Then you go to Zagreb, which is in Croatia. And then the movie ends in Venice, which is another small sequence. So most of it takes place in Istanbul, and then there's like a 40-minute sequence on the train, which I'll get to that a little bit later on. So there's so many different locations. The sets in this movie are top notch. Like there is, okay, so let me give you a little basic thing of this movie. It is James Bond. He's got a mission from M, which is MI6, which is his boss, M. So M gives Bond the mission: you need to go to Istanbul, meet up with this Russian, well, I guess she would kind of be considered a double agent, because she's a Russian agent, but now she's working, well, she's not a Russian agent, she works for the Russian embassy, but now she's going to be working with Bond and do whatever he asks her to do, which is a point in the film. So she's going to work with Bond. Bond has to steal a Lecter decoding device, which is, as explained in the movie, kind of like the size of a typewriter, about 10 kilos. And they're going to use this device in there for whatever they need it for. That's the Cold War. That's the era that we're in. Remember, this is 1963. So anyway, Bond travels to Istanbul, meets up with his one of his best sidekicks in the entire franchise, Ali Karim Bey, who is, I love this guy, he's so good. So Bond meets up with him, and then later meets up with Tatiana Romanova, who is the Russian agent that he's going to be meeting with. All the while in the background, you've got Blofeld. Who is he named in this movie? I'm not sure if he's even named Blofeld. I think he's just called Number One in this film. Anyway, Blofeld with his cat. So Blofeld is pulling the strings and getting Spectre, because that's who they work. That's who Blofeld is working. That's his company, is Spectre. So Blofeld is going to be using Bond to steal the Lecter from the Russians. Follow along. So Blofeld, Spectre, is using a British agent to steal a Lecter decoding device from the Russians, and he will then have Bond steal it, then send one of his agents to go kill Bond, steal the decoder, and bring it back to Spectre, whilst Spectre is still in good favour with the Russians, because the Russians don't know the Spectre's involved in this at all. So you've got this assassin who Spectre is using, called Donald Grant, who is this tall, muscular, blonde-haired assassin, and he is just, throughout this whole film, he is just planting. He's actually one of the first characters you see in the film. He's one of the, he's unbelievable. He's great. I mean, he's a henchman, but he's also kind of like the main bad guy in this movie. But he's hired by one of the Spectre agents called Rosa Klebb, who has the best death sequence. Spoiler. But Grant is hired by Rosa Klebb, and throughout the film, he's doing every single thing possible to assist Bond from the shadows to make sure that Bond steals this Lecter device. And he's peppered in all these little scenes throughout the movie, and you just see him stalking Bond from like a distance, from the shadows, from behind stuff. He's everywhere, and it is so well done. You're like, when I was watching it this time, I was constantly looking, and there's a part in the movie where Tatiana, she first meets Rosa Klebb, and he's given her mission to assist Bond no matter what. And pretty much Rosa Klebb tells her, if you don't do this, you're dead. Like, you are not leaving this room, so you have to work for us. So anyway, even at that moment when Tatiana is going into the room to meet Rosa Klebb, Donald Grant is walking up the stairs, and you just see him kind of like in the foreground of the shot, and he just hides behind a pillar. Tatiana never sees him. Until this viewing, I hadn't even noticed him. Don't ask me what I did. Maybe I blinked for a moment, but I'd never noticed him before in that little beginning part. And it's fantastic. And the whole movie is like that. Even to the point where if you just watch the movie, you're like, huh? But when you watch it on repeated viewing, you actually see how smart and intelligent Donald Grant is, and how he's manipulating the whole event of the movie to make sure that Bond steals that decoder, the Lecter decoder, and then takes that, and then he chases, and then they have like a moment on the Orient Express, which is like a 40-minute sequence of the movie, but they have a moment on there where they finally come to face, and he actually convinces Bond that he's, first of all, a British agent, and that he's trying to help Bond. And you just go to see how gullible Bond is, and it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. And don't get me wrong, Connery in this movie is the best I reckon he will ever be throughout the throughout his run as Bond. But when you see Donald Grant and the way he manipulates Bond and manipulates the events of the movie, he's fantastic. Like, he's utterly brilliant. Like, it is great. It is so good. Another thing that they changed from the first movie was, as I mentioned in my previous review of Dr. No, they had Monty Norman, who created the James Bond theme that's in the entire franchise. He did the musical score for Dr. No. In this film, they've changed that up. They're still using the same theme from Monty Norman. I think they say it's been arranged, quote unquote, by John Barry, which is fine. I don't mind. I like when other composers actually take the score. David Arnold does a fantastic James Bond theme. It just works great regardless of who does it. The James Bond theme is timeless. To me, it is the best piece of music ever. And I'm a Star Wars fan too. But John Barry came in and did the musical score for this film, and it is... words can't describe it. It's fantastic. It is the best. I loved it. To the point where the... sorry, this is going to sound really nerdy. When my wife and I got married in October of 2019... we met with the DJ, and he was asking us, when you walk into the reception, what type of music do you want to have like playing for you? People have choices. What type of music do you want? And I said to my wife, I want a James Bond theme. And she thought it was the James Bond theme. And I'm like, no. It is a James Bond title, like one of the theme songs. But it doesn't have any vocals, nothing like that. It's just the orchestral version of it. And it was From Russia with Love. And I don't know what Liz, my wife, was thinking, but to her credit, yes, she said yes. And we walked in, and it felt, not we walked in, it was other people walked in with that music, and it was just phenomenal. And I'm so upset that nobody recorded it and nobody sent it to me, because I was hearing it from just outside the room, so I couldn't see people walking in. But just with the music playing, it was it was fantastic. And that goes to the credit of John Barry, who created such a magical musical score for this film. It's top notch. It is John Barry scores the soundtracks from this film all the way up to The Living Daylights, which is 1987, and then there's a couple of films in between there done by Bill Conti. There's two other composers, I cannot remember their names, but there's two other composers that come in also and do like two different musical scores that he's not involved in. And they're good, they're really good, but there is something about John Barry's music that just completely cuts above everybody else. Fantastic. And no one to this day can do better in the James Bond musical department than what John Barry did. I don't care. David Arnold is fantastic. No one beats him. I'm trying to think of the others. I know the others. I'm on the spot. I'm getting all nervous. But yeah, this movie is just fantastic. And in the first movie, you had the Bond girl, as they call them, which was Honey Rider. played by Ursula Andress, and she was good. I don't mind her as a character. I know her moment of walking out from the ocean is considered to be iconic. I get that, I understand that, and it certainly is, but Tatiana Romanova is so much better. For me, she's so much more attractive. Yes, she's annoying. I mean, she's pretty much only there to be the Bond girl, and there's a sequence in the movie where she just keeps on telling Bond that she loves him, and that is like, I might insert a clip if I have it.
I know I love you, James. I love you.
Just tell me.
I love you, it's true.
And it just, every time I see it, I always just laugh, and Bond's reaction to that is great.
Sure.
But yeah, this movie here is something special. It's hard to say, because I do have another favourite Sean Connery movie, but I think it's because of nostalgia for me. I will get to that in a couple of more reviews, but From Russia with Love is easily, for me, and I know it's debated by many others, but for me it is easily the best Sean Connery James Bond film, hands down. But again, the next film I'm reviewing is Goldfinger, and many people claim that is his best. I think this is his best, and I think that Goldfinger does a lot for the franchise that sets it up going forward. And it's important to know that whilst Dr. No introduced M, the character M, and Moneypenny, and Bond, and Felix Leiter, and so many important elements in the franchise, this film here was the first one that did, the scantily clad or near naked women in the title sequence. This one also introduced Desmond Llewellyn as Q, who in the first movie was known as the Quartermaster. In this one here, he's actually Q, and it's Desmond Llewellyn playing the role. So it introduces Bond getting the gadgets, which in this film here is like a briefcase which has got, exploding bomb inside, powderish bomb inside. It's got 50 gold sovereigns in the actual band of the actual thing. It's got it gives him a sniper rifle. He's got a folding sniper rifle, I should say, like a breakdown sniper rifle, and he's even got like a dagger, and he uses that in the sequence on the train, which I still haven't mentioned. So let me get to that moment. The train sequence in this movie on the Orient Express is my favourite bit of the movie. It is, so Bond and Tatiana steal the Lecter decoder. They escape on the train, the Orient Express. They escape on that with Karen Bay, and it's pretty much they have to use the train to get to their next destination, to then get to another destination, to then get back to London with the device. And that's fine. Easy, simple as it is. But Donald Grant gets on the train. And now that Bond has the decoder, you are just waiting for this to happen now. You know that Grant is going to go in for the kill, and he's kind of like, it's weird, he's almost like, if you've ever seen the movie Halloween by John Carpenter, and you've got The Shape, which is Michael Myers, you've got The Shape, that's his character, and The Shape just stalks characters from the background. That's what Grant's like in this film, until this moment of the movie, and now he starts to make his play, and you see him take out allies to Bond, enemies of Bond, more allies of Bond, and then you get the introduction between him and Bond, and then you see very obviously how he poisons Tatiana, and then Bond figures that out, and then he convinces Bond again, and then it's the fight, and then it is just, you're sitting on, like, there's this ball of tension. It's so unnerving, and it's so well done. I love it. I love this movie. It ends with a bang. I don't know what else to say. I'm so happy that I've decided to watch the movies again and review them. I remember years ago I watched the movies and reviewed them because I had a website back in the day, and this feels very much like that, but it's more enjoyable. I'm really enjoying this. I'm loving to bring it to everybody that's watching. Hopefully others are starting to watch it too. Like I said, the next film I am watching is Goldfinger, which is 1964, which is amazing because you had Dr. No in 1962, From Russia with Love in 1963, then the very next year you had 1964, which was Goldfinger, and then 1965, which was a year later again, you had Thunderball. So they were shot back to back to back to back. And the fact that this was only 1 year after Dr. No, you cannot tell. I know there was a couple behind the scenes issues with From Russia with Love, but when you watch it on the big on the screen, they're not known at all. Like, you cannot tell. And I look forward to watching Goldfinger for next time. But I thought what I should say now is, and I have to bring it up again on my phone, is the kill count. Because this is, remember, when we got to Dr. No, Bond killed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. He killed 5 people. This film here, in one sequence, which is at a gypsy camp, Bond kills 4 henchmen. Then he kills Donald Grant on the train, and then later on he kills 13 Spectre agents in this like ball of fire on this massive body of water. So in total we're looking at, what's that, 13 plus 4 is 17, plus Donald Grant, we're looking at 18 kills. Bond got 18 kills. He visited 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations. I've mentioned that before. He managed to bed 4 women. Sylvia Trench, who returns from Dr. No, but only for a small sequence. 2 gypsy women, 2, and Tatiana Romanova. A bit of a player there, Bond. Bit of a player. Now, as for my calories burnt, I watched this movie in 2 different viewings. So I watched the first part, and then I had some lunch, and then I went back to the movie for the final, I think it was 83 minutes. So the first time again, I'm looking at my phone, sorry, but the first time I sat down on the treadmill, on the exercise bike, sorry, and started was 34 minutes and 6 seconds. That burned a total of 261 calories. All the figures will be up on the screen. The second time I jumped on the treadmill, it was 83 minutes and 8 seconds, and that was 793 calories. Now, you can see all my calories will pop up on the screen for the active calories and total calories and everything like that, which I am so happy with how I did on this one. And then you'll see my elapsed time also up on the screen and everything like that, which brought me to a total of 1 hour, 57 minutes, 14 seconds. So I think I did pretty well, and I really had such a good time watching From Russia with Love. It probably helped too that when I was watching, I mean, I was dying, I was sweating like a mule. I wanted to give up, but I'm like, no, continue going. But the weather was a bit warm too, so now the weather's a bit cooler. That's why I've decided to come outside and go for a bit of a walk, and it's good. I've got another, by the time I turn and head back, probably another 40 minutes to this walk, and then yeah, then I can start editing this, and then eventually I'll start watching Goldfinger. So that's my next film. Now, again, I want everyone to let me know in the comments how you're going. I hope you're all doing well. This wind is really picking up. I'm hoping the microphone is not getting all windy and stuff like that. But yeah, I also want to thank everyone that's subscribed, because that really does mean a lot. And I'm not trying to make these overly serious, as you can tell. I watch the movies, I exercise, and I want to talk to somebody about it, and I've decided that YouTube's a great place to do that. So again, let me know how you're going. I hope you're all doing well, but let me know in the comments. Happy to have a conversation in the comments down below with anybody. Let me know if you've seen this film and your thoughts on it. Let me know your ranking of Bond films, because I'm going to be ranking mine, and I'll have a video at the end ranking all of my in a list. And I'm also doing something else where I'm doing a bit of a spreadsheet. But I'll explain that later on. But there is a spreadsheet where I'm calculating all my figures on that, plus my starting weight and hopefully my ending weight by the time I get to No Time to Die. Or at that point, maybe Bond 26 will be out. Who knows? There's major issues with that. But either way, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in, for watching. If you have and you do like it, and you want to give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down. If you didn't like it, that's fine. Just appreciate you watching the video. It does mean a lot to me. So thank you very much. I hope you're all doing well. Leave a comment down below, and I will talk to you in the comments and in the Goldfinger review. So thank you very much.
I'm like Blofeld. You're not meant to laugh.
You can't even see.
We're gonna come closer now.
Hi guys.
Bye. We're gonna go back this way.
Hi, welcome back. Ross here. I've got another review. That means another James Bond review. So which one did I watch this time? This time it was the movie Goldfinger, which is a movie that I kind of regretted, not regretted. It's a movie that I have not really enjoyed in the past, if that makes any sort of sense. So let me get down to it like this. Goldfinger is a movie that everybody absolutely loves. Everybody talks about Goldfinger. It's one of the most recommended movies to watch, if you don't include Skyfall. It is a movie that has been around since 1964. Yes, 1964. But on top of that, it is a very, very by-the-book James Bond movie. Like when people talk about the James Bond formula, where they've got the pre-title sequence, the theme song, jump into the mission, meet the villain, have all of those things, the Bond girls, the gadgets, the Q scenes, everything like that. This movie here pretty much did that down to a T back in 1964. Other movies since then have done it better, but Goldfinger is the one that everyone comes back to. And that's not a bad thing. That's never been a bad thing. It's just that because of that, I have always found myself watching this movie and thinking, oh, like it's so, for me, boring. I would always go into this movie thinking, why am I still, like, can I get to the next film? I've always just wanted to every time I do my annual rewatch of the Bond films, every time I get to Goldfinger, I'm like, please just get this movie over with. However, on this viewing, it was different. I don't know what it was. Maybe because I was on the exercise bike. Yes, again, I'm rewatching all the James Bond movies as I exercise on the exercise bike and using dumbbells when I jump off the exercise bike. Now, did I enjoy the movie this time? Yes, I certainly did. I don't know what it is. I think it's because you're on the exercise bike and you're just kind of focused on the film a lot more. Whereas when I do my annual rewatches normally, I'll be having the movie on, watching it, but doing something else, but going back to the screen, but doing something else. So like with From Russia With Love, when I noticed a couple of scenes with Donald Grant in the foreground or the background, I picked up a lot of little things like that in From Russia With Love. And when it came to Goldfinger, I actually just found myself enjoying the movie a lot more. And I loved that because on this watching of Goldfinger, I realised how playful Sean Connery was as James Bond in this film.
And it was brilliant because you're watching the movie and the way he's just... Okay, let me get into the plot of the film. So the movie starts off in Latin America. Doesn't specify, it's just Latin America. And Bond blows up a building, kills a guy. Then we jump into the pre-title sequence, which is... then we jump into the title sequence, which is the Goldfinger theme song, as sung by Shirley Bassey. Brilliant. This is one of the best known Bond theme songs around, and for good reason. It is phenomenal and truly holds up to this day. And if you listen to Shirley Bassey sing it now in 2025, or I heard a recording of her from like 2 years ago, her voice is still fantastic. It's phenomenal. So anyway, after the title sequence, we go into the actual movie as a whole. And what's happening in the movie is M is tasking Bond with finding out how Auric Goldfinger, that's his name, Auric Goldfinger, is getting his gold. He's smuggling it internationally. They want to figure out how. So M tasks Bond with figuring out how. And then they have this playful game of golf where we meet Goldfinger. We also meet Oddjob. And Bond has a real... Like, it's a really good moment because I don't play golf, so I don't know if these rules are correct. But apparently if you start the game golf, if you start that with, say, in the movie he uses a Slazenger 1 golf ball, Goldfinger does, and he loses the ball midway through the game, midway through the holes, I guess. And Bond finds it. And then Oddjob plants a fake ball there, and they continue playing. And at the very end, Bond replaces the ball with another one and catches out Goldfinger, and Goldfinger loses. And throughout the whole scene, Goldfinger's there with his caddy, and he's so good in the role. Like, he's just waiting for Goldfinger to realise that they've switched the ball. But in the same regard, he's being so smug. Bond in this movie is so smug. And to his credit, he doesn't get killed by Goldfinger at all throughout the film at any point when Goldfinger has like so many opportunities to do it. So anyway, they had that playful game of golf. Bond wins. Goldfinger's pretty much onto him now, knows who he is and everything. And then Bond throws the golf ball back at Oddjob, and then Oddjob crushes the golf ball in his hand. And just before that, we've seen Oddjob throw his hat at a concrete statue, and the head just comes off. And it's fantastic. And I've jumped ahead, but you also have a scene a little bit earlier on where Bond is with a girl called, what's her name? Jill Masterson. And she's helping Oddjob cheat at a game of cards. And Bond seduces her, forces Goldfinger to lose the game and get the guy to win money. And then Oddjob knocks out Bond, paints the girl in gold, and that's that very famous picture you always see where the girl is covered in gold laying on the bed. And that's from this movie here. That's where it's from. So anyway, so after this, Bond follows Goldfinger to Switzerland, figures out what's actually happening and the way he's smuggling gold. And what it's happening is Goldfinger's actually using his vehicle, coating it with gold. I believe he's coating it with gold and smuggling that to the country, where they then break down the car, take the gold off, turn it into the ingots, and then reassemble the car, and he goes back to the US and continues that. And Bond figures it out, and then Bond gets captured, another person dies, and then Bond is pretty much, from that point on, a prisoner of Goldfinger throughout the entire movie from that point on. And like I said, Bond is so playful in this movie. He's so lucky he doesn't get killed, because he just has that little bit of information that Goldfinger's not 100% sure if he has told MI6 or not. and it lets Bond get away with murder pretty much. He just gets away with everything. Even when they travel back to the US, and that's when we meet Pussy Galore, who every time Sean Connery says pussy,
Pussy.
it is the best. And we meet Pussy Galore. Bond eventually seduces her, and then we find out the actual plot that Goldfinger has. And the mission that Goldfinger has is called Operation Grand Slam. And what that is he wants to break into Fort Knox, where the US gold supply is. He wants to irradiate all of the gold so that it cannot be used at all, which will then in turn increase the value of Goldfinger's gold that he has, which is so smart. And I've always in the past thought, oh my God, this is such a dumb plot. And I watched it now, and for some reason I'm like, that is so smart. Because the US, like Bond says in the film, you're going to irradiate their gold supply, yours is just going to go up exponentially. And Goldfinger's like, yes, it will. The only thing I don't like is how they intend to get into Fort Knox, which is using Pussy Galore's trained pilots to fly their little planes over the Fort Knox area and spray a gas that I'm a bit confused about, because in the movie it says the gas will make them fall unconscious for 24 hours. But then also in the film, it's kind of implied that it's going to be used to kill people. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm correct or not. But I do believe it's intended to kill them. But then Goldfinger also says that after 24, it makes them, whoever inhales the gas will make them unconscious for 24 hours. Yes. So I'm a little bit confused there. But either way, they fly these little planes over Fort Knox, knock out everyone around there, because there's like an army base, and Fort Knox is being, guarded obviously by, I think they say something like 41,000 people. And you just see all these shots of like the planes flying and then people doing stuff and then just falling down like that, and they're just going onto the ground. And you're like, okay, cool. Until about 10 minutes later, you find out that they're all faking it. The gas was swapped by Pussy Galore, and there was pretty much no harmful gas. She swapped all the little canisters that were on the planes, and they're nothing. And that's because Bond seduced her and then changed her mind about doing this. So anyway, they break into Fort Knox. They've got a bomb. Bond and Oddjob have a punch on. The US Army comes into Fort Knox. Goldfinger's men, the US Army have a fight. Goldfinger escapes with Pussy Galore. They manage to disarm the bomb at exactly 007 seconds left, which is really well done. And then Bond's like, the President of the United States wants to thank him, jumps on a private plane. As he's flying there, Goldfinger comes out. He's defeated. Him and Pussy jump off. Bond and Pussy Galore escape the crashed plane, and then they're later rescued by the US military, army, CIA, whoever you want to call it. It's not a complicated movie. I mean, when you look at From Russia with Love, that's also not complicated. It just makes it seem that way because Spectre's manipulating MI6 to steal something so that they can kill him, to take that device back to them, and still be in good favour with the Russians. This film is kind of the same. It's MI6 is getting Bond to figure out how Goldfinger is smuggling his gold. In turn, Bond figures out that, hang on, there's an Operation Grand Slam. They're going to be doing something at Fort Knox. This is now the mission. I have to stop him. That's the film. It's very simple. The plan Goldfinger's got is almost completed. He had 7 seconds away from this thing being done. And Bond didn't actually stop it. It was one of the other guys came in and just flicked a switch. So that was fine. But I really enjoyed this film. I enjoyed it a lot more on this viewing. Yeah, I don't know. And then we actually... Okay, so let me go here. So in the very first Bond film, we had the introduction of the quartermaster who gave Bond his Walther PPK. That was the first time he's used that weapon in the films, so he gets the Walther PPK. In the second film, we meet Q, who is technically the same character, quartermaster, but Q, or Q Branch, as I think they refer to him in From Russia With Love. But Q, Desmond Llewellyn, comes into it and gives him a suitcase with everything that he needs in there, or a briefcase with everything that he needs, and that's the gadget of that film. In this film here, once Bond gets his mission, he is sent to Q Branch, which is like a warehouse where all the fun stuff happens. Now, I don't know if you can see, but behind me, just over there, I have the Lego Aston Martin that is used in Goldfinger. I've also got a couple of the VHS tapes behind me from that I was collecting back in the day, and I've just grabbed them off my dad, who had them in storage at his house, so I've managed to get a couple of them. And this is kind of like my nerdish little area behind me. You see some Lego, and that case back there is my watches. I can go into more detail about all those at some point. But so this is the first time that Bond gets his Aston Martin, and you know, you've got the ejector seat, you've got the rotating license plate at the front and rear of the car, you've got these side things next to the tyres that will come out and shred tyres on another car, you've got the bulletproof block that comes up from the boot, you've got the machine guns at the front of the car, bulletproof glass. Did I mention the ejector seat? I think I did. I'll mention it again. You've got an ejector seat. And Bond's reaction of, you must be joking, and Q's reaction of that is, I never joke about my work, is...
Ejector seat, you're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
Fantastic. That entire sequence is brilliant. And behind the scenes, you find out that Desmond Llewellyn wanted to play the part, kind of like... He wanted to play the part differently to what it was on screen, whereas the director goes, no, we actually want you to play the part annoyed at Bond. Like, you've got to think this guy never returns your items in one piece. I love that scene. I reckon that is fantastic. I am so... Every time I see Q on screen and he's getting annoyed at Bond, I've got a smile on my face every time. He is phenomenal. I love their relationship. As the Bond films go on, he's got a kind of different relationship with each Bond actor. But yeah, Connery and Desmond Llewellyn, they're fantastic. I love them two together. I love their scenes together. There's a couple of good ones coming up. Yeah, I really love it. Now, in regards to the music in this film, so as I mentioned, Shirley Bassey sings the Goldfinger theme at the beginning of the film, which is technically the first time the theme song is actually sung in the actual titles at the start, because in Dr. No, it was from Three Blind Mice was being used in the title sequence. In From Russia With Love, it was From Russia With Love, but it was only an orchestral version of that. You didn't hear the full song until the end credits. And in Goldfinger, this is the first time we actually hear the song being sung in that. Now, so yeah, so the music in this film is phenomenal. John Barry does an absolute amazing job. And because he's now returned for his second Bond film, I was a bit worried. Because so you've got Bond musical soundtracks. David Arnold he's done about 5 soundtracks. I believe he did Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, Casino Royale, and then Quantum of Solace. He did 5 movies. Each one of those has a different feel to the score. And it's the same with John Barry. Each one of his films feels different. It's not recycled. When you get to movies like, say, Skyfall and then Spectre, which is the follow-up, Skyfall has a really beautiful score, and then Spectre comes along and maybe does 20 minutes of new music and the rest of it's just recycled over from Skyfall. It's a lazy, boring release. No, I'll get to that when I get to that movie. This one here, John Barry doesn't do that. It is new music start to end. It uses the familiar James Bond theme. I believe it also uses the 007 theme, which is different from the James Bond theme by Monty Norman. This is a 007 theme made by John Barry. This is kind of like when the action kicks in. He made a different theme. It's good. It hangs around for a couple of films. So the music is brilliant. The directing is really good. The editing is that kind of choppiness where to speed up they chop and then cut and then go to something else. It's interesting. It's good. I like it. The car sequence when Bond is using his car, I love it. You see a lot of the gadgets being used. I even forgot there's a smoke screen at the back, so there's that too. But you see a lot of it being used, and that's what I really like. You see the car being used. You also see a GPS in the car, which is, that's like, that's pretty good for 1964. Look, this film from beginning to end, there is so much happening in this movie. I loved it. I loved him going from Latin America to London, to America, to Switzerland, back to America. It's got so many different locations. The interiors, the set design is fantastic. The famous scene when Goldfinger's got the laser and it's Bond's laying down on that table and it's going to cut through him. That's here. It's here. And it's brilliant. And this movie, I understand why people recommend and hold this film in such high regard. It's up there for me. Now, in regards to all the little stats here, okay, I am going to read them off. Again, I have everything on my phone, and yes, I did work out during this film. So, let's go to Goldfinger. Now, Goldfinger, we've got locations. First of all, I'm going to do locations. So, the amount of locations we start off in Latin America, when we go to Miami, then we go to London, then we go to Switzerland, then we go to Baltimore. In America, we go to Baltimore. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations there, which is really good. I mean, it does go to America twice, but I'm still counting it because I want to count the actual areas that he goes. The ladies bedded, as we're calling it, only 2. We've got Jill Masterson, who is toward the beginning of the film and eventually gets turned into gold. And then we've got Pussy Galore, who is kind of the personal private pilot to Goldfinger. So there are only 2 there. And then for James Bond's kill count, we have one of the Latin henchmen at the very beginning of the movie. He gets, like, Bond throws a little heater in the bathtub and kills the guy. And that's when he goes, shocking, positively shocking. So here's one. We've got 3 Goldfinger thugs in the car chase. Goldfinger thug with a gun a bit later on, and then we have Oddjob. Bond doesn't actually kill Goldfinger. So that means we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Bond kills for this one. Now, as for my calories. Okay, so this one here, I watched the movie in 2 parts. I watched it at the beginning for an hour and 16 minutes, and then I watched the second half of the movie for 34 minutes and 19 seconds. In total, it was an hour, 50 minutes, 26 seconds total. And the amount of total calories I burned was 866 active calories, and total calories was 1,201. And I would also like to update, because as of the time I record this, it is Tuesday the 28th of January. But yesterday morning, I weighed myself That makes 7 days since first weighing myself. So I weighed myself exactly 1 week later, and I am down 2.4 kilos. In pounds, I will put it up on the screen somewhere, but 2.4 kilos down I've lost. And I'm really happy with that. I'm just so happy with that. I feel like I've really done well this week. I've been eating right. That's the main thing, is eating right. I'm in a calorie deficit every day. I'm having salads, but I'm still eating crap. Like I'm having a bread wrap, you could say, with Nutella every single day. I'm having soft drinks again. I haven't had soft drinks in like 11 years, and I started drinking soft drinks again to help me with with picking at food all the time, because I've been at home the last 2 months. Every time I would walk past the kitchen and back, I would always pick on food, and that's where I put on weight. So I've stopped doing that now, and I'll have a soft drink, no sugar soft drink, so it's 1 calorie per can. I'll have a no sugar Coke at lunchtime with my massive salad, and then when I have dinner, I have a can of no sugar soft drink also. And then in between all that, I'm just smashing down bottles of water. I feel really good. I feel so good. Look, my mental health is still not the greatest. It's been a very rough 2 months. It's been a rough year before that, but I'm hoping that this week I find out some positive news and things return back to some sort of normalcy. I don't know. But all I know is that I'm not here to bring myself down. I'm creating this channel to be positive for me, positive for people that are watching. That's why I keep saying, let me know how you're going in the comments. I will reply. I'm not a snob. I will reply. I have an Instagram account. I will pop it somewhere on the screen. You can follow me there. Yeah, this is a journey for me. And hopefully a journey for anyone else, because we're reviewing the Bond films. I'm reviewing them and you're watching them, and hopefully you're watching me. Hopefully you're watching the Bond films also, because that would be great if you want to follow along. Now, in regards to my ranking, I still hold From Russia with Love. From Russia with Love is still my number 1. And I will be putting Goldfinger at number 2 and Dr. No at number 3. I honestly feel like this viewing here really turned me around with Goldfinger. I'm happy I watched it again. I'm happy I'm doing this exercise and rewatching. I had a good time. I had a really good time. So the next movie, the next movie is actually going to be Thunderball. Now, if you look up top here, I'm going to move this small Aston Martin Lego that I have. I'm going to move that. I've got From Russia with Love over here. I've got Goldfinger on VHS. The next film I'm actually watching is Thunderball. I'm going to hold that there so you can see it. Is Thunderball. This film here, I've actually already watched it. I did all that yesterday. I watched it yesterday. I worked out yesterday in Melbourne's absolutely horrendous heat that we had yesterday. It was atrocious. But I thought, I'm going to watch it. I don't care. I need to watch it. I need to exercise. So I did. It was 41 degrees yesterday. At the times when I was working out, it was between 34 and 41 degrees at the 3-hour period that it took me to watch the whole film. So yeah, I've already watched Thunderball, but that will be my next review coming out. I'm not sure the frequency of these reviews coming out. At the moment, it looks like it's about once a week. And I've got the travel vlog series going up also once or twice a week. going to kind of continue that at the moment because I'd like to do once a week. So it's like, 25 movies, 25 weeks, it's half a year. It gives me time. It gives people time to find the channel and do things like that. So it's up to you guys. It's, if you want to help with the channel, give it a like, subscribe it, leave a comment. I'll interact back and forth. That does help this algorithm that everyone goes on about. If not, I totally understand, and I'm not pressuring anyone to do anything. But thank you anyway. If you've gotten this far, let me know your favourite Bond film down below. And maybe even your favourite Bond actor, because I'm always curious as to people's favourite Bond actor. And I do find that a lot of time it's the first Bond that people watched, but not always. It's not always. It's definitely not for me, so may not be the same for you. Apart from that, I'm going to end the review now because it's looking like it's getting, pretty high up. I'm going to end the review now. I want to thank you very much for watching. Like I said, leave a comment down below your favourite Bond film or your favourite Bond actor. And I will see you in the next review, which is, as I showed you back there, Thunderball. So thank you again and take care. Hi everyone, welcome back to another review in the James Bond franchise. I'm Ross, you're at this channel, which is Ross Vlogs. Thank you very much for returning. My previous reviews have gone up: Dr. No, From Russia With Love, Goldfinger, and this one here is the fourth entry from 1965, Thunderball, starring Sean Connery. Again, he's back and he is phenomenal. But let's get into the movie as a whole. Again, the deal is that I work out the entire length of the movie. I actually did it in 2 sittings. I did it on a very, very, very hot day in Melbourne. Like it was a warm day. It wasn't super hot, but it was warm. But I watched the entire movie in kind of like in about a 4-hour period. That's what I have been doing. Going forward, I know it will be different because I started watching You Only Live Twice. I've watched like 20 minutes of it the other day and I've got to get back onto it. But I wanted to get this review out so that I had a fresh mind, because I started writing down a couple of my thoughts. And as I was doing it, I'm like, and then James Bond travels to Tokyo. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. That's You Only Live Twice. Like, what are we going on about here, mate? Come on. So yeah, that's that. Now I've got a lapel mic here. So I'm hoping the audio is good, because I am trying to improve my audio. I've got a front light there, I've got a side light there. I don't have any other light this way, so I've got kind of like a shadow, which I will fix. But that's beside the point. We're here, we're talking about Thunderball. And also, I hope everyone out there watching is doing good. Thumbs up if you are. If you're not doing good, let me know in the comments. We can have a discussion. It's as simple as that. Or my Instagram will pop up on the side here. Scan the QR code and let's have a chat. DM, whatever you want to do, I don't care. We'll have a chat. Now, Thunderball. Thunderball is a movie that I very much enjoyed. I am going to put that straight out there now. I know that in the past I have read reviews, watched reviews on YouTube, and it's been a decisive movie. The reviews have been either it's boring, there's too many underwater sequences, it's overly long, it's dragged out just for the fact that they want to drag it out. There's a lot of things, and every single thing that I just mentioned is in some way or another, it is true. There are parts in this movie where it is boring, a little bit slow. There are parts, underwater sequences especially, where it does drag out a little bit. There are parts in this movie where it just can get bogged down in too many unnecessary things happening. There's a lot of characters that are introduced by name for no reason at all, really, because they either get killed off soon after or they're kind of just forgotten about. in saying all that, it doesn't matter. The film is really fun. It's like we should start it off. The movie starts off with James Bond in Paris or France, and he's attending a funeral of a enemy agent, and he finds out that the agent's not actually dead. Goes in there, punches the widow, which turns out to be the guy dressed up. And then he uses a jetpack. This is James Bond, uses a jetpack to escape, to jump into his Aston Martin, and then drives off. That's just the pre-title sequence. It's brilliant. It's got the usual editing tricks where they speed up the frames to make it go a bit quicker. It's got great action in the start. Bob Simmons, who is the stunt guy, who was the original person that did the the gun barrel sequence, he now gets an actual role as the enemy at the beginning of the film, and he gets killed by Bond, of course. But the moment where Bond puts on a jetpack and actually flies off, yes, they filmed a sequence on the set with, or in the soundstage, I should say, with Sean Connery pretending he's flying with the jetpack. But the actual scene itself, where the jetpack flies and lands, was all done for real. It was an actual working jetpack. The guy that used it or piloted with the jetpack on was actually there. He wore a helmet for safety reasons. He landed, and then Sean Connery takes over. But this was all real. This was not fake. This is something that I've wanted to address for a while, is that the Bond movies, when they started, really did push practical effects and stunt work to the forefront. Like, as the movies go on, you're going to see amazing stunts and amazing set pieces that happen. Fight sequences, underwater scenes in this movie alone are just phenomenal. But anyway, he lands in the jetpack, jumps in the Aston Martin, and then we go to the title sequence, the theme song, which is Thunderball, as sung by Tom Jones. And Thunderball, to me, has always been an absolute belter of a song. I love the theme song for Thunderball. I don't know what it is, and this is going to sound bad, but it's not. It feels to me that I'm in a reception, like at a wedding, and you've got the house band just playing off in the background while everyone's chatting and eating. Every single time I hear Thunderball, that's what I hear. And that is in no way bad. That is a good thing, because that's really good. And when I watch this movie and I hear the Thunderball theme at the beginning, that's what it gets to me like. And it's, as I said, it's not a bad thing. Anyway, the whole plot of the movie is... Let's get to the plot of the movie. The plot of Thunderball is that Spectre has returned. Remember, Spectre was there during Dr. No from Russia with Love. Then we had Goldfinger, who was not a part of Spectre, so it was kind of like a standalone adventure. Goldfinger was in Goldfinger. And then in this film here, Thunderball, Spectre returns, and they are stealing, or they have stolen, 2 atomic bombs, 2 atomic weapons. They've stolen it during a live training exercise, and they are now threatening the US and the UK with blowing up one of their capital cities if they do not get £100 million. And they've got, well, the US and the UK have got 7 days to reply, or else that's what's going to happen. So the whole movie is Bond, actually all of the 00 agents. There's a sequence where we actually see all of the 00 agents in a room at MI6, and Bond shows up, and all of the 00 agents are there, all 9 of them, and they're given the task of Operation Thunder, or Thunderball is the mission name, and they have to go out and find where this plane went down, because it was in a plane, and Spectre removed the atomic bombs. So where the plane went down, find the bombs, and pretty much stop them from blowing up a capital city. So Bond realizes that, hang on a second, I know this person, I saw him, and he has a sister, and the sister's last known area was in Nassau. So that's Bond's mission now. He has to go there, find Domino, who is the sister, and see what she knows and see what leads he can get from her. And then it turns out that the guy that orchestrated the whole scheme to steal the 2 atomic bombs is Spectre Agent number 2 named Emilio Largo. And he's actually housed in Nassau, and he did steal the bombs, obviously. That's the whole plot. And he's got them in Nassau on his boat, which is Disco Volante, is his like yacht, is his boat. So Bond goes to Nassau, sweet talks and persuades Domino to help him find the bombs and then get the bombs before the 7 days are up. But on his mission there, he is introduced to characters, which is brilliant, but he's introduced to characters Emilio Largo, who is, again, Spectre Agent number 2. And he's also introduced to Largo's kind of like, she's a Spectre assassin called Fiona Volpe. And she is brilliant. And like brilliant. She is the femme fatale. She is, if everyone has seen GoldenEye, which was like really super popular in the 90s, especially because of the N64 game. But if you've played that or you've watched that movie and you know Xenia Onatopp, Fiona Volpe is pretty much that character 30 years before that character even existed. Fiona Volpe is sexy. She is charming, she's deadly, she's seductive. She's the whole package. This woman is an absolute killer. And in the movie, you just see her work her magic against Bond, and it is looking like he is going to get done for. And then, obviously, it's a James Bond film, he's not going to die. But there are sequences in this movie where Connery gets so close to finishing to ending, and you're like, oh, he was so close, they almost had him. And the best part about it is, in this film here, Largo actually says the reason why they won't kill Bond. He wants to do it, but he can't, because if he does that, then all of a sudden MI6 will know, hang on, one of our agents died in Nassau, Bond must have been onto something. We've got to go there now, and we are going to find these bombs. That's where they must be. So it's actually a really good in-universe reason as to why Bond survives. It's fantastic.
If Bond had died last night as a result of your hastiness, his government would have known for certain the bombs are here. When the time is right, he will be killed.
Now, there are other characters in the movie that are introduced. Another Bond girl, well, not really a Bond girl, she's an assistant to James Bond in Nassau called Paula. And she's another character. She's a female character that's there. Her and Bond don't have any sort of sexual chemistry. It's just purely work-related. And she actually has a sequence in this movie where she is kidnapped from her hotel room. And I don't know what it is. When that sequence happens, I get so nervy because I know it's coming. I get really nervy when it's happening. I've got like this feeling in my gut, and I'm like, oh, this is really making me not feel good. Like, this is an uncomfortable feeling. But when it happens, and then she kills herself by chewing, I would imagine, a cyanide tablet that they would have hidden back in the day during the Cold War spy films. You really feel really weird about it. And Bond, when he finds out that she's dead, or that she's been kidnapped, he's like right there. Which is really funny because, well, it's not funny that it's happened, but it's funny because in the movie, Connery, well, in Goldfinger, Connery had a very playful, jovial type of attitude throughout the whole film, and it was done well, and it really did suit the film. In this one here, in Thunderball, Connery is extremely playful, extremely jovial. He does not hide the fact that when he first meets Largo, Emilio Largo, He is pretty much telling him, he's dropping the name Spectre 3 or 4 times in one sentence. He's pretty much trying to seduce Largo's mistress, who is Domino, directly in front of him. He is not hiding at all who he is. He uses his full name. They both know who each other are, what organisations they're working for. Spectre on one side, MI6 on the other. There is no hiding that fact, to the point where Largo even mentions one of his associates mentioning James Bond, which is an interesting callback, because it could have either been Dr. No or From Russia With Love, one of the agents in that. But it is so, like, Bond in this movie just doesn't care. He's got 7 days. He needs to find these atomic bombs, and he needs to find them now. And then pretty much goes to Largo's home, doesn't shy away from the fact that he could be killed. He just goes in there and he's playfully just shooting those clay discs that, you know, get flown off, and then you shoot them as aiming discs. Bond doesn't care. He's there. He just does not care. I love it, because he's playful, he jokes around, but when he needs to do the mission, he's down there, he's into it. Now, speaking of down there, let's talk about the underwater sequences. This movie is Nassau, which is the Bahamas. It is one of the most beautiful bits of scenery we have seen in a James Bond movie up to this point. It is absolutely, like, if I could have a holiday right now, if someone paid for me, I would go to Nassau. It is phenomenal. It looks great. And there's just something about the location. When you see the beaches, the water, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Even the city areas where there's people dancing, they've got a sequence later in the movie. It looks absolutely beautiful. Like, it looks like advertisements for Nassau, for the Bahamas. It is absolutely amazing. And the underwater sequences, because there are a lot in this movie that you cannot deny that. The underwater sequences in this movie are shot beautifully. They're not dark. You see exactly what's going on. You can tell, I know that that's James Bond. I know that that's Largo. I know that that's a thug of Spectre. You know who's who, just based on, obviously, the way they've done it is Bond at some points is wearing a very bright orange wetsuit, and it's fine, but you know that that's him. You don't have to think like, oh, I can't follow the action, I don't know what's happening, I'm unsure. Everything's done perfectly. And there have been movies in the past where you watch them and they'll be underwater and you don't know what's going on, and it's like just two people wrestling and they're spinning around each other underwater, and you're like, I can't follow this. Thunderball from 1965 is filmed better than some movies are like now. It is people underwater in scuba gear. It is 10v10 fighting, spears going off, bombs, explosions, and it is all done perfectly. This does have some parts when it's underwater, and it does feel like it slows down a bit. They overly show every single step of stealing those 2 atomic bombs. And I wish they could have shortened that slightly, but I get it. Back then, you wouldn't have seen these sequences all that often. Nowadays, you see it all the time. But in 1965, the James Bond franchise was right up here. It was the top of the top when it came to spy adventure action movies. Speaking of, this movie, when you look back at Dr. No and From Russia With Love, they are purely, for me, they are very much spy movies first, action movies second. Goldfinger was more of a action adventure for me, and Thunderball for me leans heavily toward adventure spy. The whole idea is with the James Bond franchise is they are spy adventure action movies, but I feel like Thunderball for me is when it starts to lean more toward the adventure angle with spy elements. And again, it is no way near being a bad thing. It's good because You're seeing the fantastical elements come into it. Like I said, there's a jetpack. The underwater sequences, there's a lot of them. I mean, Bond's pretty much flying around underwater. He's got scuba gear that's got a propeller on it. And it looks almost like something out of Star Wars. And he's got like little dials on the side that he can hit, which shoot rocket torpedoes flying off. And it's fantastic. He's got an underwater rebreather that is like that big. And everything about it is fantastical. I absolutely love it. And you do have sequences where Q comes into it, and again, Desmond Llewellyn, absolute superstar, gives Bond all these gadgets and still has that kind of annoyed type of personality, plays it like he's annoyed with Bond, which is, you can't deny that. There are parts in it where Bond is with, well, he's with Largo, and you feel the tension, but you never quite feel like Bond is in immediate threat. But as I said, Fiona Volpe, when Bond is with her, the tension is there. And it's not that there is sexual tension between the characters. Obviously, he does bed her, spoilers for the bed count. But it is more like you're not sure if she's going to stab him or sleep with him. And that's what I feel like makes this movie really good, because you're not sure if the next scene is going to be Bond in immediate danger or if he's going to be having some fun and adventure and stuff like that. And I find it to be really good. I was pleasantly surprised. And don't get me wrong, I've always enjoyed Thunderball. But every time it's been an underwater sequence, I've always now at that point turned away from the monitor, done something else, and then turned back. This time here, being on the exercise bike, doing the weights, you're focused solely on what is on the screen. And it does make you really watch these movies with a lot more passion. And I find that this is a really fantastic way for me to rewatch the films, to re-experience them. As I said, I do it annually, and this is my beginning of my annual rewatch. So I'll probably watch them again toward the middle of the year, and I'll feel differently about a lot of these films. But as of right now, From Russia with Love is at the top of my list. Thunderball comes in second. Then you've got Goldfinger, and then you've got Dr. No. And I feel like Thunderball, upon more rewatches, could actually go up and up and up on that list. But at the moment, it is the second in the placement. It's a long movie. It's just over 2 hours, like 2 hours and 10 minutes, I believe. But the movie goes quick. It doesn't, like once you get to the middle half of the movie, toward the end, it does speed up a lot more than that first half of the movie. And I feel like that's the case because you really are setting up what's going on. The plot's very simple, but there is a lot of elements underneath the surface, which is kind of funny because we're talking about water. There's elements underneath the surface that are all playing out to help the final bit of the plot. And it's done well. I absolutely love it. I enjoy the character of Domino. She's sexy, she's seductive, she's beautiful, and she is actually the one that kills... She actually kills Largo at the end. It's not even Bond that does anything. She saves Bond. And then it gets a bit weird with the rear projection on the speedboat. But, look, the movie is brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'll give it 2 thumbs up if you want to say that. Second on my rankings so far out of the 4 Bond films. Now, I have the list on my phone. So we're going to go through the list of what I've got on my phone. We've got first of all, let's do the locations visited. There's 3. There is France, England, and Nassau. So 3 locations visited. And like I said, Nassau in the Bahamas is beautiful. It feels like I want to go there. Please take me. Someone pay for me to go there, me and my wife. Bond's kill count, 21. 21. There is a moment in this movie where Bond gets his final bit of scuba gear, dives into the water, and you've got a battle between like the good guys and the bad guys underwater going at it with each other. Bond comes in and at one point he kills 6, 9, 10, 13 enemies like that. It's sequences where he's flying around, he's shooting them with spear guns, he's cutting their oxygen things, taking off their masks, strangling them, everything. He's just deadly. Like I said, it's a 20-minute sequence and he just goes ballistic on these people. He doesn't hold back. Women bedded. 3. We have Patricia Faring, who is at the health clinic toward the beginning of the film, Fiona Volpe, and Domino. And Fiona Volpe is an underwater sequence. So that's very interesting. I don't know how anyway. Now I've got my total calories, my active calories came to 975, and my total calories was 1,365, and that was done over the time of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 22 seconds. And the reason that it's longer than the actual film, which is 2 hours and 10 minutes, is because I had to make sure that the kill count was correct, which meant going back through the sequence and re-watching bits and pieces of it. So I like to make sure that when I've got something, I do it right and I get it correct. Look, what else is there to say? This movie's great. It's definitely worth a watch. I am glad that I brought this review now, because now I'm starting to move into a movie that means a lot to me, which is You Only Live Twice. And I'll explain why that means a lot to me in the next video, in the review of that. But I want to thank every single person that has watched this. I want to thank every single person that has left a comment, left a like. Even if you leave a thumbs down, that's fine. I just appreciate you interacting. I'm really enjoying this, and I'm really enjoying working out. And like I said, I do my weigh-ins once a week, and I am 2.4 kilos down from when I first begun the weight loss as I'm going now. And I am recording this before my next weigh-in, so I won't be able to give you an update on that, but I will give an update by the time I do my You Only Live Twice review, which will be coming out in another week, within the week, soon after this. But that's why if you subscribe, if you hit the bells, whatever it is on YouTube, you will be notified. That's why. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, for supporting the channel, for supporting me, Ross. I do appreciate it, and I appreciate you. And take care of yourself. Let me know in the comments how you're going. Favourite Bond actor, favourite Bond film, everything. I want to know everything, and I really do appreciate it again. So thank you very much. Take care. Have a good day. It's me again. It's me again. Hello, hello, hello. Ross here again with another awesome, fantastic review of James Bond. My cat is losing his mind behind the camera, but we're not going to worry about that. Are we, Vader? We're not going to worry about that. We're going to continue this review. We're actually going to do this review possibly in 2 parts. The reason is when I spoke in my previous review, which went up, was Thunderball, I mentioned how the next film, this one here, You Only Live Twice, holds a special place in my heart. So this movie holds a special place in my heart, and the reason is it dates back all the way to when I started working. In the early days of my working life, I was working at a video store, and it was a dream job. It was fantastic. I used to work at the video store after school. I used to go there at night and work at the video store. And the thing that I really loved about the video store was that you would just, I could spend hours whilst working just looking at videotapes, like the covers, the rear of the actual boxes and everything. And it was fantastic. It was an absolute dream job. It was great. Used to interact with people, give recommendations, and it was where I really not discovered my love of James Bond, but it was in that period of time where my love of James Bond was really pushed to the forefront. Now, to go even further back, GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64 was the major thing that really pushed my love of James Bond. I used to play that game hours and hours and hours playing that game, and it was fantastic. But the thing... And the cat's run out. But the thing that really pushed my love of James Bond was actually this film, You Only Live Twice. Now, behind me in some of my reviews, you've seen some of the VHS collection that I've got here of the James Bond movies. What you may not know is that You Only Live Twice, this VHS tape, was the first James Bond movie that I purchased. It was the first James Bond movie I purchased. I purchased this one and another film, which I'll talk about that when I actually get to that review. But You Only Live Twice purchased. This is the original tape that I purchased. This is the original VHS. And I look at this case now and I'm still blown away by it. Now, a little bit of backstory, as I said. I promised backstory. You're going to get backstory. Let me just put that away carefully. What happened is, I used to work at nights after school. I've already mentioned that. So I used to go to school, finish school, go home, get changed. My mum or my dad would drive me to work, and I would work and do like a 5.5 hour shift. At about 10:30 at night, I would leave, get home maybe 15 minutes later, and then have to do my homework. The only problem is, you're working, the last thing you want to do is homework. So I would just jump in bed, pass out, and I was done. That was it. I was done. On this one particular night, they started releasing the James Bond movies on VHS again, my limited collection. And I went to the local shopping centre, which the video store that I worked at was in, and I went to Kmart in Australia. And they had a whole wall of VHS tapes, a whole wall. And they had some of the James Bond movies. From memory at the time, they were only releasing some movies at a time, like in stages. One of them that I purchased was You Only Live Twice. And I saw it and I picked it up. I had never seen the film before, but I'm like, I'm gonna buy it. I want to jump into the James Bond movies. At this point, I loved GoldenEye. Tomorrow Never Dies had come out, and it was leading up to the release of Twine, which was The World Is Not Enough. So this is in 1999, and I am like dying to watch any Bond movie at this point. And I had them at the video store and everything like that, but I wanted to own them for myself. Renting them was one thing, I wanted to own them. So I picked up that movie and another James Bond. As I said, I'll get to that down the line. And I got home that night, I jumped into bed, and when I woke up the next morning to get ready for school, which was like a 2-minute walk from the house, my mum had to take my 2 older brothers to a different school, whereas I was going to this school that was closer. So my mum left and then she went to work. And I was at the house on my own, and I'm like, I'm just going to smash out all my homework before school, and then I'm going to go to school, like on time. School started at 9 o'clock. I'm like, I'll do my homework in an hour and then I'll go. As I was doing my homework in the living room, I'm like, I've got that James Bond movie. I'm just going to put it on. I'll watch like half an hour while I'm doing my homework. So I put on You Only Live Twice. I finished my homework, no joke, within 20 minutes. And then I did not leave the house until that entire movie was finished. I think it was about 10:30 in the AM. And I'm in the living room. That movie's finished, and I've put on the second of the Bond films that I purchased. And my dad rocks up. My dad unlocks the door. I've quickly pulled the VHS tape out, thrown it in my room, grabbed all my stuff, and I was acting as if I was just about to leave the house to go to school. And my dad enters the house and he's like, "What are you doing at home?" And I said, "Oh, I I was doing my homework and he's like, I just got a call from the school telling me that you haven't shown up. I've come home and what are you doing? And I said, yeah, I've just finished my homework, Dad. Sorry, I worked last night, this and that. And I went to school. And my dad watched me walk to school and I went in and no issue there. I could not get that James Bond movie out of my head. I was obsessed. This movie has such a hold over me. I don't know what it is. There is something about this movie that has captivated me for over 20 years. It's probably about 26 years now when I first saw You Only Live Twice. Now, this is my nerd shelf, and down the bottom, which you can't see, I actually have a vinyl record, I should say, not record, a vinyl record of the soundtrack. Never opened it. I also have, I believe I have the CD. I'm not 100% sure there. I know I own it digitally. But this movie here is so amazing. Let me just get the story out of the way, okay? The movie begins with one of the best openings up to this point. I know you've got the Thunderball opening with the jetpack and the fight and the car using some gadgets. But this movie here is just so simple. It starts off with a space shuttle. There's a space shuttle in space. You've got some astronauts, one inside, one on the outside with an attachment like an umbilical cord connecting him to this thing. And all of a sudden they're just in there and then mission control says, hey, we've got something on our scope. There is something approaching your shuttle. And everyone's like, well, I don't know what it is. Then all of a sudden you see this bullet-like thing just opening up like that and just slowly close around the shuttle and clamp shut around this like American shuttle. And as it closes shut like that, it snaps the cord and you just see this astronaut just fly away. And you don't know what's going on. And the Americans are like, what the hell is happening? Our astronauts have completely lost all radio communication with them. One of our astronauts, we don't even know what's happening to him. We have got no idea. And they suspect that the Russians are actually doing this, and the Russians suspect that the Americans are doing this to the Russians because it's happened to both the Americans and the Russians at this point. So each side is suspecting that each side is doing it. And there's this building of tension, which, again, I love it, where the Cold War period, where in I think this is 1967, 2 years since Thunderball, and you've got this palpable feeling, this tension is just rising throughout this movie. And then what you find out is that the British actually get together, all the I guess United Nations all get together and they're like, we don't actually think this is coming down in Russia. We don't think the Russians are involved in this. We actually think it's coming down in Japan. This rocket seems to be grabbing these things and then lowering down in Japan. That's what we believe. So we're going to send James Bond to go and find out what's going on. And the first time you see Bond, he's in bed, he's in Hong Kong, and he's there with I guess a Chinese woman, and all of a sudden she hits a button, the bed flies up against the wall like that. These people run in and just shoot the whole bed. And then when the bed comes down, the police come in there and they're like, he's dead. Bang, cut. We now go to the title sequence of the movie, which is the theme song, and it is from Russia. Sorry, not From Russia with Love. I've got that on my mind. It is You Only Live Twice by Nancy Sinatra. And this song is just, I love it. It is one of my all-time favorites. I say this all the time to my wife. I love this song. And you probably know it, if you haven't seen the film, you might know it from Robbie Williams, covered it with his song, is it Millennium? millennial. I'm not 100% sure, but I will put it on the screen somewhere, so if I'm wrong, which I probably am, it'll pop up on the screen. And if you haven't heard his song, he actually uses the which is played throughout this song. He uses that riff in his song, and the music video kind of is inspired by James Bond. It is brilliant. This whole movie, from beginning to end, to me, is almost a perfect Bond movie. You've got the location. And very interestingly, this, at this point, is the only Bond film to never, ever, ever go to London. James Bond is never in London. He begins the movie in Hong Kong, where he's killed. Then he is on a submarine when he's recovered from the ocean, because they give him a burial at sea, because he's a naval commander, or was a naval commander before becoming an MI6 agent. So burial at sea. He's then, it was all a fake setup just to make all enemy agents believe that Bond was actually out of the picture. Like, he's dead, British Secret Service agent dead. He's gone. And then M tasks him with going to Japan, speaking with the contact that we've got there, figuring out who's actually doing this, which, as the movie goes on, we find out is Spectre. After 4 movies of teasing of the character, we finally get to see Blofeld in all his glory, played by Donald Pleasance, which to me is an utter letdown. Why is an utter letdown, do you ask? Previous movies, Blofeld has been a faceless character, almost like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget. He will just sit in his chair, play with his kitten. That's me stroking the kitten. And he will be this character that people fear. He's a character with a booming voice. He is an actual character that you dread Bond actually meeting him, because you're like, I think Bond's going to meet his match with this guy. He seems really deadly. He's in charge of this huge organisation, which is Spectre. He's brought the world to their knees on countless occasions, but Bond eventually saves the day. And then in this film, he's revealed, and he's this tiny framed little person who just screams little man syndrome. He looks frail, he looks weak, he's not a booming figure, he looks pathetic, he looks shocking. He's not the Blofeld leading up to this that I picture when I think of Blofeld. The Blofeld I think of from the previous movies is in the next film on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Every time I see this Blofeld, I just think Dr. Evil. It's as simple as that. I don't like this interpretation of Blofeld, and I know that's a bit controversial with some people. I don't like this Blofeld. I like this movie. I love this movie. I don't like this Blofeld. It's a bit of a letdown. Now, yeah, he's got himself a henchman named Hans who is pathetic. Why is he here? He's a figure that stands there and he doesn't do anything. He fights Bond at the end of the movie, and I don't understand why that character is in this movie. He doesn't seem to do anything. There's another character in this movie called Helga Brandt, who is whoa, stunning. But again, she doesn't do much. She is a Spectre agent. Then you've got another Spectre agent called Mr. Osato, and Bond is going to meet with Mr. Osato, pretending to be someone that deals in chemicals. And there's a fun sequence where Bond comes in and they introduce each other and they're all sitting there, and Helga Brandt comes up and they make a joke about Bond smoking and his lungs being smoking gonna kill you kind of thing. And Helga Brandt comes up and just says, Mr. Osato believes in a healthy chest. And Bond just looks up at her and he gives his little smirk and his cheeky little remark. And it's typical Bond. I love it. Now, Mr. Osato is in this movie and he is kind of another potential, could have been a great character, but kind of let down. Helga Brandt, she's deadly. She's another femme fatale. Very similar to Fiona Volpe from, Thunderball, the previous movie. Fiona was 1,000 times better, but Helga Brandt is just... She's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, she's deadly. She threatens to slice Bond's skin with a surgical knife, pretty much. Then he beds her, and then she has an opportunity again to end him, and then chooses to leave him in a plane that's falling down while she jumps out in a parachute. She's kind of here, but if she wasn't in the movie, nothing would really change, if that makes any sense. Mr. Osato's here. He's a good character. He's but again, he meets his fate by Blofeld just shooting him. It's the same thing that you see in From Russia with Love. And it's played again in this moment here in this film. And I just kind of feel like we're treading the same ground that we've had 2-3 movies ago. Can we try something different? It sounds like I'm really negative about this movie, but I'm not. Let me get into what I really, really, really love about this movie. Aki. I love this woman. She is great. She's a fantastic Bond girl. Why did you kill her? Let her live until the end of the movie. You've got Kissy comes into it. She's pathetic. She does nothing. Bond in this movie turns Japanese. He honestly does turn Japanese. Now, the way I was so abrupt in mentioning that is because that's kind of how it feels in the movie. Bond needs to get closer to this volcano. So because of that, Tiger Tanaka, who is his Japanese contact, says, we need to turn you Japanese.
First, you become a Japanese.
And then they change his hair, change his eyes, make him hunch over a little bit so he looks smaller and more frail, like apparently a Japanese man would be. Then they ship him off to a fishing village where he gets married, and he gets married to Kissy. And we're kind of at the end of the film at that point. He scales the volcano with Kissy, jumps into the volcano, and that's where we have one of the most beautiful sets ever in a movie, Blofeld's volcano base. Now, when you think of James Bond parodies, you think of Dr. Evil, Austin Powers movies. And when you think of the parodies, they always make this big deal about the shadowy organisation, the evil villain, and the base. And this movie here is where it's all from. This movie here really did set the mark on what a spy movie kind of is. I mean, this is really fantasy, and I don't care. Bond's got his time, his end time, which is the next shuttle launch, and he has to prevent it. And when he gets into this volcano base, wow. I was reading up after I finished watching the movie, again, whilst working out, and I found out that the actual base, the construction of that on sets cost $1 million to build, to construct. Inside, you've got monorails and like a little train system. You have rock walls, massive. You've got a helicopter pad in there, a helipad, which a helicopter could actually land on. You've got rooms, locations, different levels, and all of it is used later in the movie when, like, you have Tiger Tanaka's ninja assassins versus Blofeld's Spectre agents. And the sequence is brilliant. The fights are brilliant. The explosions going off. left and right. You've got Bond running around shooting people. You've got Tiger's men coming down from the top of the volcano into the base. It is massive. It is a massive spectacle of a sequence. And this movie here has its downsides, but also so many positives in this movie. And that's why I love this film so much. There's other sequences in this movie that are just phenomenal. There's a part where Bond gets in contact with MI6 and asks for little Nellie to be brought to Japan with her father. And you're kind of like, what the hell is little Nellie? What's going on here? Only to find out that Q is the father and little Nellie is a small little helicopter, which was actually a real vehicle, much like the Thunderball sequence with the jetpack. They actually had a guy fly this little helicopter around areas of Japan, which I'm going to be putting up on screen. And then you had full-size helicopters coming after. And there's a sequence in this movie where Bond is in this small little, I think they call it a gyrocopter, and he's firing off and destroys like 4 Spectre helicopters that are coming after him. And yeah, there's a lot of like miniature explosions and stuff like that, but you can't deny that you get to see some beautiful sequences that up until this point in cinema, you didn't really get to see that often. I mean, this is 1967 and we're 5 movies into the James Bond franchise and it's just gotten better and better and better and better and better. And like I said, the volcano base, which again, you'll see some of these as I'm talking, cost $1 million to construct. Dr. No, the first Bond film from 1962, cost $1 million to film that movie. That just goes to show what we're dealing with here. That entire movie, a 2-hour movie, $1 million on screen. This volcano base, which is probably on screen for maybe 35 minutes, $1 million. You see it. All of it is up on the screen. There is no hiding where this money has gone. That's why I love this movie. It is everything that I want out of a James Bond movie and more. Unfortunately, Sean Connery made absolutely no hesitation about letting people know that he was getting tired of the James Bond character, of playing James Bond. He wanted to stretch his wings a bit. He wanted to fly. He wanted to try new things. This was his final James Bond movie. And what actually happened was, unfortunately, you can see in the gap between Thunderball and You Only Live Twice, the 2-year gap, you can actually see Sean Connery. I hate saying it because I don't want to talk about negativity and I don't want to be talking about people's bodies and things like that in a negative way. But unfortunately, Sean Connery did let himself go a fraction. You can see that he looks a little bit fuller in the face. He's not as... He doesn't look as fit as he did in Thunderball. And there are times in this movie where he does feel like he's phoning it in a little bit. But I go all the way back to 26 years ago, 1999, when I watched this film on VHS, and I sat there. I was just over 15 years old, and I was watching this film in absolute awe. This was the first Sean Connery movie that I ever saw. This is the favourite Sean Connery movie I've ever seen, will ever see. I know From Russia with Love is always at the top of my list. This film here surpasses that. I will never, ever not like this movie. I can put You Only Live Twice on whenever I want. Whether Sean Connery looks bored at certain points, I don't care. I go into this movie with such love. There is something about You Only Live Twice for me. I just can't. I'm trying to put it into words. I'm probably 20 something minutes into this review, and I just can't. My emotion, my love for this movie is unparalleled. It is my favourite Sean Connery performance. It is my favourite musical score in any of his movies. John Barry knocks it out of the park. And I actually was having lunch with my wife a couple of months back, and we were watching The Incredibles, and some of the music came up, and I said to my wife, hang on a moment, and I put on the You Only Live Twice soundtrack, and I was playing a bit of the music and then a bit of the Incredibles music, and completely not ripped off, inspired by this film. It is done so much for cinema, so much for everything. This movie here, I love it. I love it. Like I said, I put it at the top of my list. I give this movie a 10 out of 10. I know I've mentioned that I don't like Blofeld. I know I've mentioned that Helga Brandt is wasted. Hans, the henchman, is wasted. Connery looks a little bit bored. But what I haven't said are the locations. The Japan, Tokyo is beautiful. I like seeing Connery. He has Aki as the love interest, as one of the Bond girls in this movie, and I actually love the fact that Bond, he's getting a massage in the movie, and Aki comes into the room and surprises him, and when he turns around and he looks up at her, you actually think, oh, this guy could realistically settle down after this mission. Once Blofeld's taken care of, he could settle down with her and they could get married. And again, I've never read the books, so I don't know what happens. I know Bond gets married and does have a child and things like that. I don't know that. I'm only reviewing the movies. Aki is fantastic. You've got some brilliant... I didn't even mention the fight sequence on the Kobe on the docks. Bond goes there and he runs across the rooftop, and as he's running across the rooftop, all these enemy people are coming after him, and the helicopter filming is just... I'm going to just put a clip in, whether I speak over the top of it or not. I love that moment. And then you've got Bond, or Sean Connery, leaping off to the next level down, and he falls onto these cardboard boxes. I mean, it's the stuntman, but you don't know that because the way they film it, with Bond hiding behind the boxes, and as the stuntman leaps behind the boxes, Connery I keep on calling him Bond. Connery comes around the side and he adjusts his tie or his suit like that, and then he walks off. There are tiny little moments in this movie that all the negatives are just gone. They're just gone, and I can't explain it. I've got so much love for this movie. I really do. I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking. I love this movie. Now, what I am going to get into, I'm pulling out my phone because I need my phone for this. What I am going to get out to is all the stats. Now, let's go with the kill count first. Bond's kill count, 21. He destroys a whole bunch of people in the volcano, like he's just bang, 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 killing people left, right, and centre. Well done. The locations, as I've mentioned also, only Hong Kong and Tokyo. There's only 2 locations in this whole film. And there's nothing wrong with that. They look beautiful. I mean, Hong Kong's only a tiny little sequence, but when we go to Japan, Tokyo, the rest of the film is there. Ladies bedded, we have 2. Aki, who I love, and Helga Brandt, who, gorgeous, but bleh. Now for the main stuff. My calories burned. We have my active calories during this film. Now I watched it over 4 viewings. I watched this movie. My active calories burned were 886. Now, that is less than some other films, but that's because I'm incorporating weights into this now. So I'm kind of jumping off the exercise bike, watching the movie still, doing the weights, pausing for a little bit, then doing more weights, things like that. So 886, my total calories was 1168. And then the total amount of time spent watching this movie was 2 hours and 3 seconds. Yes, and I watched it, as I said, in 4 parts, 21 minutes, 18 minutes, 38 minutes, and like 42 minutes. So I did watch it in all those different sequences, and I'm having to do that because my days are getting busier, so I'm watching it at night or on the weekend or something like that. Wow. Now, I did weigh myself also. I'm filming this on a Wednesday, so I do have my next weigh-in. I'm just bringing up the app. My weight now is a total of 4.9 kilos down since I started this. So we're 5 movies in, 4.9 kilos down. And I'm really happy because I weighed myself just a moment ago and I know that I'm less than that, but I'm not going to include that because it's not my official weigh-in day. So I'm going to wait until my official weigh-in day and then weigh myself again. So in my next review, which will be on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is, I'm not saying anything just yet, on that review you'll find out what my weight is at that point. Let me just finalise this review by saying how absolutely astonished I am every time I watch this movie again. It is one of the most viewed Bond movies of mine. I can throw the soundtrack on and listen to it when I'm driving. I can be doing housework, soundtrack on. I can be driving my car, movie playing. I can be at work, headphones in, movie on. Anytime, anywhere, any place. This movie here is the easiest Bond film for me to just put in and watch. And it all goes back to 26 years ago when I first picked up that VHS back there. And since then, I've been in love with this film. So this is a very biased review, and I really don't care. It's my review. It's mine. Now, in regards to my next review, as I mentioned, this is Sean Connery. This is Sean Connery's final Bond film at this time. And the next one is actually starring George Lazenby, who is an Australian. We will talk about that movie in the next review, but I just want everyone to know that I do appreciate everyone, the comments I'm getting, the likes. If you're sharing it, thank you. The views I'm getting, I appreciate it. I really do. And I just want to thank everyone for watching. I put a lot of hard work into this. Not only am I working out, so I'm sweating like a pig right now too because of the heat, but not only do I work out while watching these movies, but I record these, I edit, I put all the clips in, I upload, I do everything, I respond to all my comments, and I just want you to know that it does mean a lot when I get just a like, or one like even, or one comment. All those little things mean something to me. They really do. They might not mean anything to you guys, but to me they mean so much, because it does go to show that even with all the effort that I put in, the hours it takes for me to get these reviews up, it means a lot to me. So thank you very much for watching. The next thing I want to say is mental health, very important for everybody, for me especially. I've been going through a lot of tough things these last couple of months. And I'm not bringing this down at all. But I've been going through some stuff, still going through some stuff. But I just want you to know that I really do appreciate everybody. Yeah, I really do appreciate everybody there. So thank you very much for watching this video. Please let me know in the comment below if you've seen You Only Live Twice, what you think of it. Do you have a favourite Bond film, a favourite Bond actor, a favourite Bond soundtrack, a favourite Bond title song? Anything at all. Let's speak James Bond down below. Let's speak about health down below. And I will see you in another week with on Her Majesty's Secret Service. So thank you very much for watching. And I really do appreciate you all, every person out there. Thank you very much. And look after yourself. Hi. It's me again. It's Ross. You know it's me. You've watched many of my reviews by now, many of my travel videos. You know it's me. You know it's Ross. How are you? How are you going? This is a review. This is a review of James Bond on Her Majesty's Secret Service. This film right here. Right here. The original VHS copy that I purchased back in 1999. I purchased this while working at a video store. If you want a little backstory on my love of James Bond and the previous film I watched, which was You Only Live Twice with Sean Connery, his final, up to that point, his final James Bond film, you can check that. It will be linked at the end of this video. But now we're talking about On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is the first and last George Lazenby James Bond movie.
You must give me the name of your oculist.
This is a film that I absolutely love. It is a film that I can comfortably say is my favourite James Bond movie of all time. Controversial? I don't know. I've looked at what many other people have said in the past. I know that people add this. They tend to have this in their top 10 or their top 5, along with Casino Royale. On Her Majesty's Secret Service for me is easily my favourite James Bond movie. Now, let's get nostalgia out of the way. Yes, I have this on VHS as I've shown you up there. Yes, I watched it in my very early mania, I'm going to call it, of James Bond movies. Yes, it was completely unknown to me at the time that there was an actor other than Sean Connery and, at that point, Pierce Brosnan that was James Bond. I didn't know. You have to remember, this is 1999 when I first watched On Her Majesty's Secret Service. We're talking 26 years ago. At this point here, I thought there was Pierce Brosnan at the time, was the James Bond, Pierce Brosnan. There was also Sean Connery was the original, and I always heard about the actor Roger Moore, but I never knew who he was. I heard nothing about Timothy Dalton. I never heard anyone talk about George Lazenby. And when I saw this movie sitting on the shelf at Kmart, I thought to myself, oh, it's a James Bond movie. I have no idea who this guy is, but I'll get it. So I purchased it. I added it to my small but growing collection of James Bond movies, and I sat down, watched it, and fell asleep. I'm not lying. When I watched this movie the very first time, I fell asleep. I was ill at the time. I was sick, and I was in my room, laying down on my bed. I was watching the movie, and I just passed out. During the... when was it? When he first goes to Piz Gloria. And I fell asleep. And when I woke up at about 2 a.m., I put the movie back on. I grabbed my headphones, dragged them all the way across, put my headphones on, and watched it from beginning to end. And I loved it. Back then, my first official viewing, and I loved it. Let's talk about this movie a little bit. Let's discuss what happened. In the previous review, You Only Live Twice, I mentioned how Sean Connery was getting to the stage with James Bond where he'd already played the character 5 times. He was starting to get a bit bored of it. Unfortunately, it comes across slightly on camera, but he was beginning to get a little bit bored of the character. He wanted to kind of stretch his wings a little bit. I don't think he was talking with producers at the time, so there was a bit of tension there. He left the role. And he was gone. And the producers, Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, were now looking for their next James Bond. They knew that they wanted to do another James Bond movie with Sean Connery or without. They knew that they needed an actor. They needed somebody who looked the part, spoke the part, walked the walk, had the action chops to do it, and would get out there and actually do it. and they stumbled across a model and an actor in TV advertisements at the time, which was George Lazenby. Now, the story goes that George Lazenby found out they were casting for the role of James Bond at the time with no prior acting apart from TV ads. I mean, he was a car salesman, apparently, at the time. He was selling cars. But he had no major acting roles apart from ads. He went to the same barber as Sean Connery in London, got his hair cut the same way, found out where Sean Connery was getting his suits tailor-made, rang up and said, hey, I need a suit very similar to Sean Connery. And they said, well, you're in luck because we actually have a suit that was tailor-fitted for Sean Connery. He never picked it up. It's here if you want it. So he went in, grabbed a suit. As George Lazenby says, it was a little bit short along the cuffs up there, but he took the suit. He went to the studio, the producer's office, snuck in, like ran in past the secretaries or the assistants that were there, and pretty much got the role like that. Now, it's worth noting again that he was not an actor. He had no acting skills whatsoever. He got the role simply based on when he was actually auditioning, they had to see how he fought. How could he fight on camera? How did he look? Was he comfortable? And he punched one of the stuntmen that he was, doing the scene with and knocked the guy out. And pretty much the producers went up to him and said, you got the role. You're the guy. You've got it. So that's it. That's it. Now we have the guy cast. We've got Diana Rigg, who was cast as Tracy. And we've got Blofeld.
Or to destroy the economy of the whole world.
So Blofeld was cast. Yes, Blofeld is back in this movie, and he's played by a TV actor at the time, Telly Savalas. Now, why that's interesting is because originally after Thunderball, they were going to actually make this movie. They were going to film on Her Majesty's Secret Service, but due to weather conditions, because it's set in the Swiss Alps, they had really bad, I think it was really low levels of snow, so they couldn't actually film it. So they didn't, and they instead made You Only Live Twice. Now, in the way the novels are said, or the way the novels are made, it goes You Only Live Twice, and it goes On Her Majesty's Secret Service, followed by You Only Live Twice. And that forms part of the Blofeld trilogy, which I believe they're called in the novels. That's kind of how they're done. So when you come to watch this film and you've got scenes with James Bond and with Blofeld speaking face to face, like me talking to the camera, and you've got them that close talking with each other, Blofeld doesn't recognise James Bond. Now, if you've watched the films in order, in You Only Live Twice, that's the first time Blofeld and Bond come face to face. So watching this film is jarring, but I suppose if you just let that go, if you just don't think about that, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. Now, what's the plot of the actual movie? The plot of the actual movie is it's 2 years after You Only Live Twice. Bond has been trying to find Blofeld with no luck. And M pretty much says to him, we're taking you off the case. You're not getting any progress. You're done. Like, get off the case. We're just going to give you another case. Bond doesn't like that, and he wants to get Blofeld. During the very beginning of the movie, though, Bond's travelling through Portugal, and he's cut off while driving along the beach and follows the car, which is a woman who's turned out to be Tracy, the main Bond girl of the film, an eventual wife, spoilers. And he actually goes there, saves her, drags her out back to the actual beach, and introduces himself as Bond, James Bond.
My name's Bond. James Bond.
Followed by a small fight with two guys. Bond wins. Tracy escapes. We cut to the You Only Live... On Her Majesty's Secret Service song, which is, I think my favourite title song of any of the James Bonds. It is I love it. I absolutely love it. It is fully instrumental. There is no singing whatsoever. It plays, it's pumping, it is great. I absolutely adore it. But after that, Bond and Tracy spend the night with each other, and then Bond the next day is pretty much kidnapped by some goons who take him to meet their boss, who is Draco, who is Tracy's father. And Draco has connections to Blofeld, which he promises to give to Bond if Bond promises to pretty much court Tracy and get her mind off crap in her life, pretty much. He wants her to be focused on a man rather than be crazy in the head, as he pretty much puts it in the film. So because of now having Draco giving him information, Bond now actually finds out what Blofeld is after, where he's actually located, and then goes back to MI6 and tells M, and then M says, go for it, pretty much go. And Blofeld's actually in the Swiss Alps in his compound, but a restaurant in real life, called Piz Gloria, which is like a circular, it's beautiful. I'm going to throw some footage up because it is beautiful, but it sits on top of a mountain. It's just this beautiful all glass like compound that just overlooks the Swiss Alps. It is phenomenal. It looks so amazing. And during production, they actually spent money to help the people finish building the place so they could use it as their primary location in the movie. So Blofeld's actually there, and he's got what he refers to in the movie as his angels of death. He's got his women there that all have allergies, whether it be like a peanut allergy or allergies to chicken, like chicken. So all these women have allergies to something, and Blofeld's actually using this compound as a way of curing them of their allergies, but at the same time he's brainwashing them subliminally, brainwashing them so that when they leave and they go back to wherever they've come from, he can actually activate them at some point and get them to destroy crops. They will release certain it's like almost like a biological warfare. They will release these things that'll destroy crops. So Bond is there now undercover using a fake voice, which is probably one of the worst things in this movie. Bond is he's at Piz Gloria under the identity of a person called Sir Hilary Bray, and throughout the sequence, for maybe about half an hour of the movie, George Lazenby has his voice dubbed, and it's jarring. I mean, it's done really well. You would never know if you just saw these sequences completely out of order, but it's very jarring. You think, just let the guy do his own thing. Let him just put on a... I mean, they've never met, so why would he have to put on a fake voice? So pretty much the story is Bond's going to Piz Gloria to get Blofeld, to find out what he's doing and get Blofeld, to stop Blofeld from unleashing biological warfare on the world. And all Blofeld wants in exchange for not doing this is a pardon for all his past crimes. He pretty much wants to be pardoned so he can just go out and go wherever he wants without anything. And it suits this film. It suits this Blofeld. Now, in my previous review when I spoke about Blofeld, I'm talking a lot about Blofeld, but there is a reason. In the previous movie, You Only Live Twice, they officially revealed Blofeld. And I mentioned that he reminded me of Dr. Evil and that it wasn't my Blofeld. And I said, the next Blofeld is my Blofeld. And when I see Telly Savalas with his bigger frame, he just gets out there. He gets out there and goes and gets him. There's a sequence in the movie where Bond is escaping on skis and he is skiing down the Alps. And Blofeld gives chase. He just puts his skis on with his men and he's giving chase and he's commanding his men what to do. Like, you go that way, don't let him escape. But Blofeld is in it. He's like going after Bond. He doesn't hold back. Whereas in the previous movie, when you had Donald Pleasance, Blofeld was scrawny, he was weak, he didn't have any of that imposing qualities that Telly Savalas has. Telly Savalas looks like he could beat the ever-loving crap out of George Lazenby. Like, he's got an imposing frame. And George Lazenby is not a small guy. He's fit. This guy is, like, 6'2", whatever he is. And he looks the part. Like, George Lazenby looks like Bond. And it's amazing. So you've got this really great Telly Savalas. Diana Rigg, who plays Tracy, she is fantastic. Like, she is so good in the movie. And then you've got George Lazenby, who, as I said, first time acting. And he handles it quite well. If you had told me that he had acted in 10 movies before this, I would have believed you. He handles it well. You can tell that he's a little bit... It's tough to say, actually, because it's only because I know it's his first acting role that I'm looking at his acting a lot more. Like, if someone had told me that Dr. No was Sean Connery's first role, I would have been like, oh yes, you can definitely see that in this scene and this scene here. I actually don't really see that with George Lazenby. It's more because I know the behind the scenes that he was a prick. Like, and he says it. If you watch the DVD behind the scenes, George Lazenby says it. He was James Bond. He thought he could do whatever he wanted, and he was a movie star, and he was this, and he was that. But he was a bit rude, and he wasn't that nice on set. Like, he let it known that, like I said, he's the star. And the producers had to tell him, hang on a moment, you're not a star because you say you're a star. You're a star when the media, when the public says you're a star. That's when you're a star. And I think that kind of put him in his place, because he was like that. And George Lazenby has since come out and admitted that he was a bit rude. He was a bit, yeah. And it's refreshing to see an actor admit to their faults, and George Lazenby does. But I don't think you can fault his acting in this movie. He's solid. Like, he's really good. And when it comes to the fight sequences, the action, the stunt work, he gets in there. He really goes for it. Like, you see the fight at the beginning of the movie on the beach, and George Lazenby's throwing punches, uppercuts, and knocking these stunt guys all over the place. And it looks fantastic because it's in the ocean, in the water, and every punch, you see the water flying up and things like that. It's done so well, and I think that's a testament to not only George Lazenby, but I think also the director of the movie, who has done a phenomenal job, and he was actually the editor of You Only Live Twice, so the previous movie, and he came on this as director. Because they liked his work as editor, they gave him the directing role, and it shows. And on top of that, George Lazenby's not afraid to get down and dirty with the stunt people. And again, behind the scenes, the stunt people say he was one of us. He would always be there with the stunt guys, talking with the stunt guys, doing wanting to do his stunts, and he was really happy about it. George Lazenby apparently really liked doing that type of stuff. And I just think that he let the fame of being James Bond go to his head. And it was a constant thing that he would always say on set, that this doesn't happen to the other guy. The other fella never had to deal with this stuff. And it's, they decided to put that little line in the movie just before at the end of the pre-title sequence, when he actually turns to camera, breaks the fourth wall in a small moment and says,
"This never happened to the other fella."
And referencing Sean Connery. And I think it's a really funny, but I think it's a little interesting thing, because I just think it gives people an opportunity who have come from 5 Sean Connery movies And in the first scene with this new James Bond actor in the role, you kind of just be like, oh, okay. They're acknowledging, they've turned to camera, he's acknowledged it, he's broken that fourth wall of fraction. All right, let's relax now. And the rest of the movie, though, there's no issues there. The way he interacts with Moneypenny is great. The way he interacts with M is great. He has a small scene with Q, but not like a Q branch scene. Doesn't go and get gadgets or anything like that. It's at the end of the movie during his wedding sequence. And I'll keep going back to it. George Lazenby handles all of those scenes perfectly. He really does do the job well. And he carries himself well too. Like this is a tough thing to follow up. Like you're talking about James Bond. He was a phenomenon in the 1960s. And this guy's coming across and just saying pretty much with his acting and with his abilities on screen and everything like that, there is Sean Connery. You've had Sean Connery for 5 films. I'm coming along now. This is my role now. And I honestly, truly feel that if George Lazenby had stuck with the role and at least given us another movie or two, I honestly think he would be held in such high ranks as people's favourite Bond actor. For me personally, he is in my top 3 James Bond actors, and I know that that's saying a lot considering there are some real brilliant actors out there that have played James Bond, and I'll get to that all eventually. I'll give my ranking on where I think actors sit for me in personal, opinion and things like that. But just based on this one movie, which is again my favourite James Bond movie, I really can't put a fault to this film. Like I said, the acting is brilliant. There is some amazing stunts. The ski sequences are just phenomenal. The assault on Piz Gloria, when Bond kind of jumps out of the helicopter and then he's using his machine gun and slides chest first along this layer of ice as he's gunning down goons. It's really amazing to see on camera, and it all looks really good. Like even some of the car chase sequences where Tracy actually comes to Bond's rescue and helps him, and she's driving, obviously a stunt performer, but the stunts, the sequences are really good. Now, something of note that needs to be mentioned is this is the James Bond movie where James Bond decides, I love this woman, I'm going to marry her, and does, which wasn't something that leading up to this, I think anyone thought a James Bond would do, like James Bond actor or something like that on screen would be able to do. But you actually do see why Bond would want to marry Tracy in this movie. And it's actually a really beautiful relationship that they've got on screen. Now, I know that there was a little bit of joking around behind the scenes, but I believe it. I fully believe it. And you can see why he would settle down with her. I'm not going to get into future things and future movies, hopefully not. But I know Bond eventually does settle down with another woman in later movies. I believe this. This I believe. The other one in the future, not so much. I really don't know what else to say. I'm trying to think of some negatives. I guess some negatives are it follows You Only Live Twice. So you've got the whole relationship between Bond and Blofeld and the fact that they've already met face to face. And in this film here, they meet face to face and there's no recognition of, I know you and you know me, but we're acting as if you don't know me at all. It comes off a little bit strange, but I feel if you watch these movies and just disregard that, you'll be perfectly fine. The other thing that I kind of and ah about is that you're seeing a relationship develop between Bond and Tracy at the first third of the movie, and then when he goes to Piz Gloria, Bond beds 2 women. Just beds them. He's using them, I guess, for information, but he beds them. And then in the last third of the movie, Bond meets up with Tracy again, and all of a sudden he's in love. Will you marry me? Yes, they do get married, and it's like that. And I kind of feel like, great, you're building this relationship in the first third. Then in the middle, you've got he fools around with some other women. Then in the third part of the movie, he's back with Tracy, in love with her, get married, let's, whatever. And that kind of middle section where he beds those two women, I'm like, why? Why would you? I know the Bond formula is Bond has to bed multiple women in the movie, but why? In this one here, when you know where you're going with the characters, why in that center part do you have to have that? To me, it just feels like, all right, we know Bond, we know we have to do it, let's just get it out there. Some of the supporting characters in this film, Draco, I love this guy. He's awesome. I'm so upset that he doesn't appear in later films. Not even a reference to the guy, because he's great. Like, his philosophy on women in this movie is a little bit like, ooh, you're definitely from the 60s, maybe even the 50s, but it just works so perfectly in this movie. I've mentioned Bond, he's great. Tracy's great. Blofeld is phenomenal. Then you've got Irma Bunt, who is like Blofeld's second in command at Piz Gloria, and she kind of like looks after the women that are there having their allergy treatment. She is equal parts scary, equal parts deadly, equal parts, did I say creepy? I'm going to say creepy again. But she's so perfectly put in this movie that there's no fault to her. And then you've got, that's the characters, brilliant musical score throughout this movie, All the Time in the World. That song itself is fantastic. You've got the main theme song, which runs throughout this whole movie, especially in the ski chase sequence when it kicks in. Wow, awesome. And then you've got the wedding at the end of the movie when James Bond has the wedding and Tracy and James Bond are driving away, and then he pulls over to the side of the road, takes the flowers off the car, and Blofeld drives past with Irma Bunt. She's got a machine gun. She shoots. Bond quickly gets back into his car, says something to Tracy, turns to her, and there's a bullet straight through the windshield, straight into her forehead, and she's gone. And it's sad. Like, you look at George Lazenby and you look at his acting, and there is no way in the world you can say that this guy is a bad actor. You look at him and he is just, he's gutted, he's heartbroken. And, every time I watch this movie, it's gut-wrenching for me, because Tracy she's beautiful and she's such a good character, and to see her at the end just die, and to see Bond realise that he's going to have a happy life, and then all of a sudden he's not going to have a happy life. It's so sad. It honestly is really sad. Do I like this movie? Yeah. Do I have negative things to say about this movie? Yeah, I've said that. I highly recommend On Her Majesty's Secret Service. It has got some of the best stunt work in the James Bond movies up to this point. The camera work during the ski sequences is phenomenal. The action scenes, next level. I mean, we've had 5 Sean Connery movies. Now George Lazenby's kicked in, and you can see that this guy is a physical actor. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty, and you see it on screen. He is just phenomenal. I love this movie from beginning to end. I recommend this movie from beginning to end. I wish that George Lazenby came back. I wish that we got the conclusion to the Blofeld trilogy, I guess, in Diamonds Are Forever. Unfortunately, this was George Lazenby's final James Bond movie. I think he let fame go to his head. I think he believed that he was a lot more than what he was. And it's a known fact now that George Lazenby regrets not coming back for a second Bond film, for not doing Diamonds Are Forever, the revenge against Blofeld, pretty much. And you can see when you watch him in the behind the scenes that he's gutted. And I'm so happy, though, that this movie, although kind of like mixed reception upon release in 1969, has now developed such a loving following from fans that I think his acting, his performance in the movie is now vindicated. It's always a tough choice to follow up, I guess, the original Sean Connery. It was always going to be very tough for anyone to step into that role. But I think what George Lazenby did was a tremendous job and proved that you could recast the role with another actor, and Sean Connery wasn't the only James Bond. In saying that, he does return in the next film, Diamonds Are Forever, which is... I'll get to that in the next review. Now, we've spoken about the movie. Did I work out during this film? Hell yeah, I did. How did I go with all that, though? All right, let's get to that now. Now, I'm not going to say my weight, what I lost or anything like that, because whilst I edit this, I am going to weigh myself and then just put it on the screen. But I did do a cheeky weigh midweek after I watched this, and I have lost weight. But again, I will put it up at the bottom of the screen along here with my weight, and you'll know. For the calories burned, or actually, let me go in order. We're going to do the kill count. 5. Bond killed 5 characters in this film. Surprisingly, not Blofeld. As we said, he appears in the next film. The locations in this movie is bonkers. It's crazy. I'm gonna tell you where he goes, and we're gonna just talk about it. All right. So I'm gonna put my camera here. We've got Portugal. Then he goes to London. Then Portugal again. Then Bern in Switzerland. Then London again. Then Piz Gloria in the Swiss Alps in Switzerland. Then London again. Then back to Piz Gloria in the Swiss Alps in Switzerland. Then back to Portugal at the end of the movie. There's 9 locations, but he only visits 3 unique places. So we're only going to say 3 for this one. Ladies bedded, 3. Tracy, his wife. Tracy DiVincenzo. Ruby Bartlett, who is one of the Angels of Death, as they're referred to in behind the scenes stuff. And another one called Nancy. So, yeah, well done, George Lazenby, I guess. Calories burned. We burned 976 calories, and the total calories was 1,390. And I did all of that over 4 viewings at a total of 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 35 seconds. So it was a hell of a long movie. It doesn't feel that way, though. It honestly does really feel like you're watching this. It's like a bullet from beginning to end. The editing is fast-paced, and it really does feel like the movie just speeds along. So I don't ever feel bored when I watch this movie. Like there are some others where I'm kind of like, kind of looking around, and I can put this movie on, much like You Only Live Twice. This movie here for me can be put on at any time, and I can just kick back and really just enjoy this movie. I really do like the behind the scenes of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I really do feel sorry for how George Lazenby was kind of treated, and he kind of did bring it on himself a little bit, but I do again feel like he did let this potential fame that was coming to him go to his head instantly, and he did act a bit childish. So, I mean, it is what it is. But if you ever do get a chance and you can find them on YouTube, there are some behind the scenes about this movie which just go into details about George Lazenby. Now, finally, I just want to thank everybody for the views that I'm getting on these videos. I know that I've only got probably, 40, 50 subscribers. So not much, but each person that does view this video, honestly, thank you very much. Thank you to everybody that does watch them. Even the travel vlog series that I'm uploading to, that Liz, my wife, and I did in February of 2024, when we went to Los Angeles, Universal Studios, and where was it? Disney. Been uploading them weekly also, and they're getting some great views. So again, appreciate everybody that's doing that. Thumbs ups, comments, subscribes, anything like that. It all means the world to me. It honestly does. Like I've said, and I'll say it again, I pour my heart and soul into these. I may be a little bit nervous on camera, but that's, that's me as a person. But it's when it becomes behind the scenes, when it comes to editing, that's where I really have a good time doing these. And I love chopping up these videos and just putting clips in here and there, a bit of music in here and there. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone for that. Now, in regards to my mental health, I am feeling I'm doing a lot better. So for anyone that has privately asked me, thank you very much. For anyone that's just wondering, thank you very much also. But please let me know how you're going in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're doing, hopefully well, but if not, we can always have a discussion. My Instagram will pop up on the screen here. You can privately message me there if you don't feel comfortable doing that on YouTube. Now, in regards to the way these are being uploaded, these reviews, I'm giving myself a little bit more time to watch the movies, record them, edit them, so they're not going to go up every Monday as they have, or every Sunday, depending on where you are around the world, but they will be going up on a weekly schedule. So every single week there will be a review. It's just when it actually lands is a different story. And I apologize for that, but I don't like rushing these things. I really do like taking my time and doing the best that I can. Yeah, but look, if you've seen the movie or you haven't, well, if you've seen the movie, let me know in the comments below what you think of it and what you think of George Lazenby. I know he's a very polarizing character. Not many people enjoy him. They put him at the bottom of their lists. Like I said, he's in my top 3. This movie is my number 1 James Bond film. It skyrockets to the top, and it'll stay there throughout the entire series. Over 25 movies, this movie will always be my number 1, no matter what. That's how much this movie means to me. That's how much this story means to me. That's how much the actor of George Lazenby means to me. So it really does. It has affected me over the 26 years, this movie. But what else can I say? There isn't much. My cat is meowing at the door, so I'm going to end this video by saying thank you very much for watching. I will return next week, I guess. Thank you very much for watching again, and have a great week. Hi everyone, Ross again, back with another James Bond review. This time we are talking about the final Sean Connery James Bond movie, which is a little bit strange because when we reviewed a couple of weeks back, I spoke about You Only Live Twice, which was, my favourite Sean Connery film. But at the time I mentioned that Sean Connery was gone. This was his final Bond film. He's off with whatever. He left. Didn't want to do the role anymore. And that was true at the time. Sean Connery was sick of the media invading his personal life, his private life. He was a little bit over the character. I believe he wasn't talking with some of the producers at the time. And he wanted out. He wanted out of the role. He wanted to stretch his wings a little bit. He wanted to see what else he could do out there. And he left. He quit. That was 1967. 1969, we had the fantastic, absolutely unbelievable performance by George Lazenby as James Bond 007 in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is sitting up on my shelf up there. Beautiful movie. Absolutely loved it. Review was out last week. Go watch it. It's great. Unfortunately, George Lazenby quit after one movie. He was done with the role. He didn't believe that James Bond was a character that could live into the 70s. He thought he was a lot bigger than what he actually was, George Lazenby himself, and decided that he had had enough of the role and wanted to leave. So he left. Also at the time of release, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, it didn't get the warmest reception upon release. Mixed reviews, you could say. It was still an extremely profitable movie, but it wasn't received as warmly as it is now. Now it sits in many people's top 5 James Bond movies of all time. Back then it was seen as a massive departure from what Sean Connery had given, and the public wasn't ready. The critics weren't ready. The public wasn't ready. No one was ready to see this type of portrayal of James Bond. And the producers, Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, thought, how do we win the public back? How do we get everybody back? Play it safe. Let's offer Sean Connery more money. Now, rumour was that Sean Connery was offered $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, whatever it was. Online, I think I read $1.7 million, of which he donated the entire amount to a, I think it was a Scottish charity that did something with for school for children. I'm going to check it up. Give me a moment. Okay, so I have found it here online. It says he was offered $1.25 million. He was also offered a opportunity to fund 2 back-to-back movies of his choice, whatever he wanted. And the fee that he did receive, which was, again, $1.25 million, he used that fee to establish the Scottish International Education Trust, where Scottish artists could apply for funding without having to leave their country to pursue their careers. That is brilliant. Well done, Sean Connery. That's fantastic. And was it a lot of money back then? Yeah, of course it was. Think about it. Dr. No cost $1 million. The volcano base in You Only Live Twice, the last movie Sean Connery was in, cost $1 million to build just the base. Not the movie, just the base. He got a lot of money. And I say good on him. If he's using that for the right reasons, that money, which he did, good on him. I have so much to say about this movie, and in not great terms, unfortunately. This is my least favourite Sean Connery James Bond movie. My least favourite Sean Connery portrayal as James Bond. I'm not even going to be talking about Never Say Never Again, which was a remake of Thunderball in the 1980s. I think it was 1983. I'm not even going to be talking about that film. This is Sean Connery's last official James Bond portrayal.
My name is Bond. James Bond.
And I do not like this movie. I think Sean Connery is at his worst here. Also at his best in some scenes. I do like the snarkiness that he has in this film. I like that he's very sarcastic. I like that he's very playful, very jovial in this movie. At some points, he comes across as extremely bored. Like, just get me through this movie, give me my 1.25 and we'll all be good. I like some of the things he does in this movie. Some of the action sequences he's done in this movie are really good. There's a part in the movie where he's traveling on an elevator, on the outside of the elevator, on the roof, on the outside of a building, and he just stands there, and I don't know if this is a real shot or a fake shot. I can't tell, so if it is fake, well done everyone that made this movie. If it's real, well done Sean Connery for doing it, because I would not be doing it even for $1.25 million. Hopefully I've got the footage that's sitting over the top of this. It is awesome. So as I said, it's my least favourite Sean Connery, James Bond portrayal, but I still like it, if that makes any sort of sense. Like, he's older, he looks more weathered, he looks unfit, but it works. There is something about it in this movie that just works. And I don't know why, because when I went into this movie, I thought to myself, honestly, my thoughts were, I do not want to watch Diamonds Are Forever. I do not want to review this film. I can't stand this movie. And then I sat down and watched it. Like I said, I work out and I watch these movies, and then I watch them again and again and again for the entire week. It's always on repeat with whatever I'm doing after that. And I sat down and I watched it, and I'm like, I don't actually mind it. And I went into it when I was working out thinking, and I'm working out and I'm watching the movie, I'm like, I like this part. This part's pretty cool. I like this. I like that. I like these characters. I like that. It's such a weird movie. You are either going to really enjoy this movie or you're going to hate it. And when you look online and you check up people's rankings of their Bond movies, Diamonds Are Forever usually sits right at the bottom. It is like right at the bottom, and I can't fault people for it. You are either real negative against it or in the real positive camp against with this film. It is so perplexing to me because I will hate it one time and then really enjoy it another time. I just reckon it's a fun, enjoyable film that it kind of suits that weekend vibe. Like, in Australia, you would just turn on the TV, put on Channel 9, and it's on during the weekday on a Sunday, and you're like, all right, I'll leave it on in the background, I'll go do what I need to do, but it's always there when I pass through the room. I can see Sean Connery being James Bond, whatever, cool. And then there's other times where if I sit down and watch this movie, it will be one that I want to just skip through the entire American section of this film. I find that to be the most boring. As soon as they land on the US soil in this movie, I am bored. But not this time. Not this time. Let me give you a little rundown of what this movie is. Now, if you remember, at the very end, and I'm going to take you back 2 movies. If you remember, at the very end of You Only Live Twice, Bond has invaded the volcano base where Blofeld is. Blofeld finally reveals himself. They have a bit of a scuffle in the base. That side versus that side. Bang, 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 bang. People flying everywhere. Bond escapes with Kissy Suzuki. Is it? Or just Kissy? Whatever. Kissy. Blofeld escapes the base. The base blows up. Kaboom. The next film, which is on Her Majesty's Secret Service, George Lazenby now portrays James Bond. Telly Savalas now portrays Blofeld. They, have their little disagreements throughout the whole film. They find out, blah, blah, blah. Blofeld recognises, hey, that's Bond. At the very end of the movie, Blofeld and Bond have a massive, fight as they're going down a bobsled. And Blofeld ends up in a neck brace because he gets wedged like that in a tree. And at the very, very, very end of the movie, Bond is in his car. He's just married his wife, Tracy. They're driving. Bond pulls over. A car pulls up beside him. Irma Bunt, which is Blofeld's henchwoman. She pulls out a machine gun, rat-a-tat-a-tat, all along the car. Bond jumps in the car. They drive off. And then Bond sees, my wife she was hit by the bullets. She's no longer alive. End movie. This movie begins, you would think, with Bond getting revenge on Blofeld for killing his wife. No. I don't read it that way at all. I personally believe that in this film here, at the very beginning of Diamonds Are Forever, Bond is seeking Blofeld after he escaped in You Only Live Twice. I am 100% convinced in my mind that the producers wanted to just forget the events of On Her Majesty's Secret Service. So in my mind, you go Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, and then you've got this film, which is Diamonds Are Forever. Forget about On Her Majesty's Secret Service, because clearly Bond in this film does not care at all about the death of his wife in the previous movie. The events of that movie make no sense. And it is so strange that they've chosen to do that, that I go into this movie with an instant bitter taste in my mouth thinking, why? Just the events of that movie happened. They may not have been received well. It doesn't matter. But the start of this movie, Bond is just going around all these different locations and he just keeps on asking, where's Blofeld? And everyone's like, Cairo. And he'll go there, then he beats up the next guy, then asks that person. Then he goes off to this area and beats that person up. And then he eventually finds Blofeld. And Blofeld's scheme at the beginning of the movie is to clone himself with plastic surgery. So he's using plastic surgery to change the appearance of some of his henchmen who are going to be his body doubles. And Bond kills one of the body doubles, then kills the clone or the body double of Blofeld. And we cut to the credits. The credits roll. We've got the title sequence, which is the brilliant song Diamonds Are Forever by Shirley Bassey, which is a banger, absolutely fantastic. I love this one, and I love it more than Goldfinger. Let me just say that. Then after the credits, after the title sequence, so we believe now, as does Bond, that Blofeld is taken care of. Blofeld's gone. He's out of the picture. For some reason, after the title sequence, we come back into this movie and now it's about diamond smuggling. And there's diamonds being smuggled, there's people involved. You've got two assassins called Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, who are awesome. I love these two characters. They are so fantastic. Every time they are on screen, you are like, I don't know what it is. I get Looney Tunes vibes out of him, like Wile E. Coyote. Like I don't know why. I don't know why, but I get Looney Tunes vibes, and it so perfectly fits the tone that this film has. This film has, I don't even know how to explain it. The only way I can explain it, if someone really gets this reference, is look at Superman 1, the movie by Richard Donner, then look at Superman 2, and look at the parts in Superman 2 that Richard Lester directed. Richard Lester directed it and added a lot of comedy and a lot of little funny bits and things like that. This movie here has that feel all over it. And Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd really play into that. And it's done perfectly. Like I totally buy that tone, those two characters' tone, throughout the whole film. And so what they're doing is they're chasing everyone who has handled these diamonds. Anyone who comes into contact with the diamonds, they're killing. That's their whole thing. So what happens is Bond is trying to find out what the diamonds are used for, kind of thing. He poses as a guy called Peter Franks, meets up with, what's her name? Her name is, oh my God, I have completely forgotten. I cannot believe I've forgotten. I'm looking it up. Tiffany Case. I was about to call her Plenty O'Toole. No, Plenty O'Toole is a character in this movie that Bond meets. She's in it for maybe 7 minutes, and then she's gone from the film. Doesn't sleep with her. She has no reason to be in this movie apart from being a piece of TNA. And then she's eliminated from the film within 7 minutes. So that's really weird. But anyway, Bond goes to Amsterdam to get the diamonds, meets up with a contact there called Tiffany Case, who, when we first meet her, is pretty good. She is a really good character. She's smart. She stands up for herself. She seems like she can give Bond a bit of a run for his money. And then immediately after that, once they leave Amsterdam, she turns into this blonde bimbo. Hair color not matching, of course. But she turns into this bimbo of a character, and I don't know why they did that to her. The first scene in Amsterdam when she's there, she's a really smart, intelligent character, knows what she's doing and everything. Gets to America, completely changes character, completely changes tone, and it makes zero sense to me. There is a sequence in Amsterdam that I absolutely adore, and it is, now, bear with me here. It is Sean Connery playing James Bond, posing as a person called Peter Franks. In an elevator, fighting against a guy who is Peter Franks, who Bond was posing as. Bond uses this fake foreign accent, has a fight in the elevator with this Peter Franks guy, ends up beating him, and the sequence is just fantastic. I really love it. It's close quarters. It's like maybe a meter by a meter. Like that's the size of the elevator. And they're just punching each other. Windows are breaking. Their elbows are hitting the back of it. They're punching, throwing each other. It's a really fun little sequence. But for some unknown reason, when Bond beats him, he's still posing as Peter Franks. He goes through his wallet and puts his own one in there. And when he pulls it out and you see the name James Bond, apparently Tiffany Case knows who James Bond is. Like James Bond is a celebrity or something. And it's always bugged me, like, you're meant to be a spy, but your name is so perfectly known around the world that a diamond smuggler knows who you are. I love Connery's reaction to it when he looks at the thing and he acts like really dumb about, that was James Bond?
Is that who it was? Well, it just proves no one's indestructible.
It's a really fun little thing. Like I said, Sean Connery in this movie, I like Sean Connery in this movie. I think I like Sean Connery in everything that he's done, Bond-wise. In this one here especially, I really do enjoy his performance. I think he gives look, he's bored at parts in it, but he does give a more comedic portrayal of the character. And it might not work for everyone, but for this tone of movie, it does. So anyway, he gets back to America. Then you find out that there's a character called Willard White, who is almost like a Howard Hughes. He's a recluse, lives in his tower, top floor. No one has seen him. Clearly, we know that this character, Willard White, is being played by Blofeld because they show a clip of him in his tower and you only see like the back half of his arm and it's dressed exactly like Blofeld is. And the whole idea, they're using the diamonds to create a laser in space that is going to threaten all these countries around the world with pretty much by destroying their nuclear weapons. So if you want access to this weapon, pay me. And you got access to this weapon now. And you're pretty much going to be the strongest person in the world with this space laser that's just flying around. Really? That's what I mean. They've clearly taken no cue from what they've done. No cue, huh? They've taken no cues from what they did with on Her Majesty's Secret Service. That serious, down-to-earth tone of that movie is gone. This is clearly playing up the angle of fantastical that we had with You Only Live Twice, and then up the ante a lot. And that's not a bad thing, but when you come from On Her Majesty's Secret Service into Diamonds Are Forever, the tonal shift is so flipped that it's like, for me, as someone who absolutely adores On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Diamonds Are Forever is always one of those movies when I first watch it, I'm always like, oh, I'm so disappointed. And then the more and more I watch it, the more and more the tone just sits in, and then I just kind of go along with the flow. Now I'm having fun with the movie. I can forgive its flaws, and there are some, but I can forgive its flaws, and I just kind of enjoy it. And that's how I found this viewing. The first time I watched it was an absolute slugfest, as it always is. By the second time, I was like, yeah, all right. By the third time, I was laughing a lot more. By the fourth time, I was just like, oh, this is Bond. Yeah, this is the movie. This is what it is. I have fun when I watch it, though, but I have to give myself one or two viewings to get to that point. So I guess, in conclusion, yeah, it's fun. It is my least favourite Sean Connery Bond film. That I can say with ease. I feel like everything in this movie is a little bit off. Even the music by John Barry. I love the John Barry music. There is only one piece of music that I love, and if I have it, I'll try and put it in. And it's when the laser, the diamond space laser is flying around, and you see you see it destroying all these things on Earth, like all these weapons and stuff like that. And the music they use at that point very much seems similar to the music that I loved in You Only Live Twice. It's a very similar vibes, and I love that. But apart from that, I don't really enjoy the music in this movie. I do love the Diamonds Are Forever song, sung by Shirley Bassey. I've mentioned that. I enjoy that. Sean Connery makes me laugh in this movie. I don't know if he's meant to, but he does. He makes me laugh in this movie. Tiffany Case, she's gorgeous, absolutely stunning, as is Plenty O'Toole. But their uses in this movie are just kind of pathetic. Winton Kid, brilliant, absolutely love him. Their deaths in this movie are humorous, very funny. Are they gay? Yes, they are. They are very gay, in-love hitmen. And it is what it is. They're great. But I love the fact that they play up on that in this film. It's really done well. I've mentioned it before, and I'll say it again now. I don't like the Las Vegas sequence of this movie, and it is a large chunk. It's probably a good over an hour sequence of this movie that I'm not a fan of. I do enjoy, there is a car chase sequence in this movie where Bond escapes from one of Willard White's compounds, and he escapes through the Las Vegas desert back to the main city of Las Vegas. And I do enjoy that whole sequence where he goes through, like, there's a filming stage where they're filming a mock moon landing, and Bond is running through, and the spacemen are moving in slow motion, and Bond is just ducking them like that, and he steals a moon buggy, goes off into the desert, then a motorbike, and then eventually he takes a red Mustang and he drives back. And then the sequence that follows that, which is Bond in a chase with the police, and he's in his Mustang and he's going through the city, is the action sequence is really, really, really good, and the car sequences themselves are they're top notch. That's really enjoyable. So if anything, that kind of saves the Las Vegas portion of the movie for me. But I don't have many good things to say about the Vegas areas. I'm on board. Whenever they go to the casino, I'm just kind of, looking away. Now I'm actively pulling out my phone and looking at my phone. I'm not even paying attention to the screen. And unfortunately, it's such a large portion of the movie that it does kind of ruin it for me. But beyond that, I can still enjoy this film. I can still find parts of it that I do like. I don't like Blofeld. Again, I think you know now that Blofeld for me will always be Tully Savalas. I like a character that is bigger framed, that is intimidating, that gets into the action and actually goes in there. I didn't like Donald Pleasance, and I don't like Charles Gray, who is Blofeld in this film. He's a larger frame. I don't like him though. I find him utterly annoying. I don't. Why is he here? Just, you didn't need. It should have been a revenge movie with Bond chasing down Blofeld for the revenge of Tracy. That's what it should have been. We didn't get that. So it is what it is. Now that I've spoken about that, and I've told you my disappointment in the movie, let me actually get to a little bit of the stats. Now, my weight will be at the bottom of the screen. I'll give you an updated weight, so wow. Now, let me talk about that a little bit. The job that I'm currently doing now is a lot more physically active, and by the time I get home, I am absolutely drained. So working out on the bike is just taking it out of me. So I've mixed it up. I've been doing the bike, but I've also been walking a lot, and that's been really good for me. But I have been very relaxed in my eating lately, and I'm a little bit not happy with myself. So I have to refocus, repay attention to that, and begin counting my calories again. Because I feel like as soon as I stop counting my calories, my weight starts to even back out and then slowly go up. So I don't know what this is going to be, if I've increased or decreased. I don't know. I'm hoping for a decrease, but you'll know. If I'm happy, yay. If I'm sad, then it is what it is. But as for my other stats, let's get into this. We'll start with Bond's kill count, as always, as we always do, 7. Bond killed 007 people this movie, which that includes Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd. And again, Blofeld does not die at the end of this movie. As a matter of fact, Blofeld at the end of this movie is just, he's in his like mini submarine, and Bond's got him on the end of a crane, and there's no conclusion there. He's, I guess, arrested. He's arrested. Let's go with that. Blofeld's arrested. The locations visited, I've got Japan, Cairo, France, London, Amsterdam, and then Vegas, which gives us a total of 6 locations. And he only bedded 1 woman, which is well done, Bond. Now, as for my calories burned, we had 900 active calories, and we have 1,262 total calories burned in the period of time. And it took me 2 hours, 5 minutes, and 45 seconds total to watch this movie over two viewings. Now, I guess my final thoughts on the film are that it is a Bond film that I can happily leave put aside. I'd never, if someone just took it out of my collection and I didn't have to watch it, I'd be happy with that. If someone makes me watch it, I'd be happy with that. It is a completely in the middle for me when it comes to loving it and hating it. I love parts, hate most, love this, hate that. This, that. It's such a strange feeling whenever I watch Diamonds Are Forever, whenever I talk about it, because I can see all the negatives, but then I look at it and I'm like, it's just such a fun movie though. Like, you can see people are having fun on screen, and I'm totally here for that. I'm not, I guess when I'm watching it, knowing what I know, I don't go in now, or I shouldn't go in expecting anything other than what I know I'm going to get. I don't know if that made any sense, but my expectations for this movie are always here at like a 5, and this movie always delivers a 5 for me. I don't go in expecting a 10, and I don't go in expecting a 1. I go in with a 5, I come out with a 5, and I'm like, yep, that's what it is. And that's my final thoughts on Diamonds Are Forever. A completely middle-of-the-road James Bond film that I am happy to leave in the past, or happy to throw on for a week solid and continue watching it. It is a movie that I am both glad and upset that Sean Connery came back for. It is a movie that I am also very happy to put a pin now in the Sean Connery era. And I am so happy that the next film we're going to get, which is Live and Let Die, begins the era of Roger Moore. Now, say what you will about the man, but he clearly was in the role for many years, and he did a fantastic job, and we will talk about that in my next review. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do anything you want to the below area down there when it comes to the thumbs up or thumbs down. Leave a comment, don't, share it, don't. Up to you. Appreciate you all that have watched it. I hope everyone's doing fantastic, and if not, let me know in the comments below. You can follow me on Instagram, which will be put up here or in my face there, whatever. But until I see you next time, just remember, take care of yourself and have a good time.